I never really liked this life that much, so I didn't really care. I was like, I'm fine. Like, whatever.
That took a dark turn.
No, that's literally how I was. I was so depressed. I was like, take me out, God, at any moment. I am ready to go. And he's like, haha, no, you're going to have to stay there. And I'm like, damn it. And so here we are. But now it's fun. Now that I figured out like all the codes and algorithm and start like the matrix decoding and how you can cheat the system. And that's why I got banned off TikTok.
Well, let's dive into that then.
May of 2021, I made a video talking about why Chili's is horrible to their employees and they're going to go under, and that went viral. And then when that went viral, I got a bunch of people messaging me about sexual harassment allegations that they had reported to HR that Chili's did nothing about. So that really pissed me off because I didn't even know about that. I just was like, oh, this company just sucks and corporate's horrible. They don't care about their employees. They literally like this whole tipping thing was bullshit. And so I was like, wait, what? And so when I got like so many people messaging me about sexual harassment cases, literally look up Alex T. Chili's and you will see so many articles about me because I was making for a year. No, you have to. Now you're committed.
Okay,
no,
now
but
it's official.
It was so it was very, very soothing. I've been listening to ASMR like before everybody knew about it, like years ago, and everybody thought it was like so weird. Like you just like fall asleep listening to this lady like, and I'm like, yeah. It's like you get the tingles.
Crazy. I had on the podcast Mystique. Are you familiar with Mystique Awakening?
No, but I like the name.
She does ASMR. She's really good at it too.
Yeah, I like don't listen to it as much anymore because I listen to like the meditation stuff, but that's what I used to fall asleep to all the time. That I would like have like I had like an ex-boyfriend who's like, you're weird, and then I was like, just try it one time, and then he's like, can you put that lady on again? I'm like, yeah. He's like fall asleep like listening to her. He's like, she's just so soothing. I'm like, I know.
Isn't that the best?
Yeah.
When someone
I'm
just
like,
hates
come
something
to the
and
crazy
then you're like,
side. Yeah, I'm like, come to the crazy side.
Right. You introduce something to somebody new and then they just like pick it up and it's just like, oh shit, okay, fine, I'll disregard everything I've ever said.
Yeah, exactly. That's like one of my friends that I think he's a Palladian. We definitely are connected from past lives, and he was like, man, the one who got me into all this stuff was my ex, who was Puerto Rican, and I'm Puerto Rican. And he was like, my ex got me into all this stuff. She literally was like, before she left me, she was just like, hey, so this is what my family's into. This is what we know. Here's some information. I'm out. Bye. And then he was like, oh my God, what is this stuff? And then he was like, what was she talking about? Like a few months down the line. And then he got super into it. And now he's like, he's been to Egypt with Matthias DeStefano, like, you know, in the pyramids, had this whole fucking crazy journey. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy. I'm like, Puerto Rican women, we do be doing that. We do be changing lives.
Yeah. Latinas in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've experienced those life changers.
Well, you know, Puerto Rico is right where the Bermuda Triangle is, so we got a little more magic.
Oh,
yeah.
The rich port right there.
Yeah, the gold and everything.
I haven't been swooned by a Puerto Rican lady yet. So.
What?
Can't comment.
I don't know. I don't know if you're okay with saying. What state do you live in?
Pennsylvania. I'm in Pittsburgh.
Pennsylvania.
People know that. Yeah.
I'm cool going to New York next week.
I've told my audience far more personal things.
Oh, me too. Literally, I have like, okay, so I got demonetized on Instagram. I get demonetized on every platform. Not trying to claim that. It's just what happens. And so, because like, I don't think anything is like too much. And they're like, yes, it is. We are demonetizing you. I'm like, oh, okay. So now,
really?
Yeah. So I had my subscribers, and man, for my subscribers, now I just put everybody on close friends on Instagram, and I literally just tell my stories every day on my Instagram stories, and they're just like, what? I'm like, I do not care. I have no walls because at this point I'm like, can everybody just like demask, because I cannot deal with the masking anymore. And so I was like, well, I've always been this way, but I figure, you know, if I could just be the person that I wish more people were like, then I will just find my people.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah. You really have to just be authentically yourself. That's the only way you're going to find the people that you resonate with. Otherwise, you're always just going to be masking and literally like trying to just have friends to have friends, but they're not quality people. Like, they're not people that you're really learning anything from. And I don't know. When it comes to friendships, I think there's so many different layers to friendships. And I just think like you really are the sum of the people you surround yourself with. And I think that if you're on a journey of really trying to level up and learn in consciousness, you really have to start making aware choices of who you want to spend your time with and what you want to do at that time, because time is energy. And if you're just giving it away, like just to like, I don't know, do things that you're not really in alignment with at the time, you're really just like, in my eyes, just kind of wasting time, which I've wasted a lot, but it's not wasted because you learn.
For
But you know,
sure.
once you become aware, like that's how you rewrite the story.
Well, I think even a bigger thing that you're kind of touching on here, I heard someone by the name of Alex Hormozy talking about this. Not sure if you know who that is.
No, but of course, here's my name.
Yeah. It's right on point. So
Literally.
he even talks about how like friendships, he sees it as kind of like a spectrum. It's not like you are my friend or you're not my friend. He
Mm-hmm.
sees it as like, okay, it's a spectrum of mortal enemy to like best friend in the entire world. And the way he sees it is like, you know, you can shift along that spectrum. Like our relationship over time will shift along that spectrum. Like if we're on the same path, if we're on the same mission, right, and our paths is crossed like we are now,
Mm-hmm.
then we become friends, right? It's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
we're both trying to achieve the same goal. So like it makes sense. Like we both like each other, we're friends. Okay, cool. Let's record a podcast. But then like as time goes on, if your mission changes or if my mission changes, our spectrum of friendship will probably start to fade towards the side. And he kind of breaks down how like that's totally okay. And how,
Yes.
you know, we have this whole wrapped up notion of, well, you either are my friend, you're not my friend. Why haven't we
Mm.
talked in forever? I have to be
Yep.
the same friends forever. And it's more bringing that awareness to, are we on the same mission? Are we trying to go to the same place? If
Mm-hmm.
not, that's totally cool, but let's just not waste each other's time about it.
I think that friendships is just the same as a relationship, like a dating relationship. And I think that in with most people in this society, when we deal with a lot of rejection and trauma. And so we are constantly chasing whatever we want. And a lot of the time that is love. And that comes in any form, whether it's from family, friends, or a partner. And I think that a lot of times we are aware if we're chasing a partner or like a person we want to be with. We are aware like, oh, I'm doing too much, right? But we don't look at that with friendships a lot. And that's something that I've always looked at, just because I realized that I'm like, man, I always put in so much to my friendships and always want to like I'm always reaching out to these people, and these people don't really reach out to me. So I'm like, are we even really
Mm,
friends, or am I the only one keeping the friendship going? And then on top of that, like, besides that, then you have to think about like, yeah, where is their journey going and where is your journey going? And instead of being like, why don't these people like me? Like, I just want to be friends with them because like you just want to be friends with them. It's like, why do you want to be friends with them? Like, what are they doing with their lives? Are they at the place that you would like to aspire to be someday? Like, are they matching, or is it just because you just want people like friends? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of people just like to fill the void instead
well,
of
there's
really
fear
paying
there.
attention. Yeah.
There's fear. What if there's no friends on the other side? What if this is
Right.
the last friend I ever have?
I think like I think the person we need to focus on the most is literally just ourselves. And so I think that when we are constantly looking for outward like validation and external whatever love in whatever way that may come, like you are still not happy with yourself. If you cannot spend time alone, which I literally could not ever be alone. I was so codependent. I'm like, now I'm like, everybody stop talking to me. Leave me alone. Nobody reach out. I don't invite me to anything. I want to be alone. This is the first time that I'm alone in my life. Like, no family because I went no contact, no boyfriend, no job, no literally like I'm in a whole new state. I like don't really know anyone. I'm like, this is the first time that I can figure out who am I? Who am I without all of the out, outward circumstances of family, jobs, life, like everything?
It's pretty crazy. And I know something you touched on there was about your like going no contact with your family.
Mhm.
And because that's something that I feel like you've talked about quite a bit. And I know that it's something that's probably very difficult for people to do, especially if it's a toxic family relationship. So what do you have advice for people if they need to make that move to, break away from siblings or parents or, parental figures that they're around?
I think that you really have to remember that you are eternal and this is just a character that you're playing in this lifetime. And they may not even be a part of your same soul cluster and family. And they may be on a different journey than you are and on a whole different timeline. And their soul may be on a different, like, dimension, because every point of view is a different dimension, but their soul may be just on a different, taking a different path than yours. And so if you feel like this is your path and this is what you should be doing, and you want to do the healing work, on do the shadow work on your trauma, overcome these things, and you're putting in the work, and these people are not putting in the work and they're just trying to keep you wrapped up in their drama and their toxicity and their bullshit, then you literally have to say, okay, you are more than welcome to keep that cycle going. But I want better for myself and I don't want to keep these loops going, because then, like, we're never going to break these curses. We're
Mm,
never going to break these curses if we don't just break it off. And so if you, the way I see it, I'm like, wow, I chose to come here. I chose these people to be my parents to teach me the lessons I needed to learn. I did what I had to do. And now I just have to accept that this was the script. The script was they played their role, I played mine. Now I am aware and I am okay with doing the work to move forward in this journey, but they are not. And so we have to split ways, just because I'm not going to allow myself to be criticized, ridiculed, talked down to, walk on eggshells every day, harassed. Like, I'm just not going to do it because I'm going to choose peace. And I think we have to let go of these ties that we have with people, like, oh, they're our family. Like, so what if they weren't your family? Do you like them as a person? Like, at the core, do you like them? Would you hang out with them? If you would not do it with a stranger, then you should definitely not do it with your family. Like, I think that a lot of people think, like, oh, I owe them. It's like they made the choice to have you. It was their responsibility. They filled their role, and now if as an adult, they can't
mm.
respect you and they can't, like, have a adult conversation and see, like, okay, we have our differences, but we can respect each other without trying to enslave the other person into their thoughts. Like, that's how I feel. I feel like a lot of parents or family members still have this, like, enslavement mentality of, like, my child is my property and they are an extension of me and they have to do what I say and we have to do what the Bible says. And it's just like this, like, hierarchy of a patriarchy that has not worked for centuries. Why are we still following it? Like, we just keep repeating the same shit in different stories, different characters. So you have to literally do something that's never been done before if you want different results. And the only way to get different results is to put yourself first. Put yourself first and do whatever is going to make you happy and give you peace of mind. Otherwise, like, you're going to hate your life, because everybody, misery loves company.
For sure. For sure. Whenever you go to set that boundary of, okay, I see the trajectory of your life. Probably don't say it that way. But whenever you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I can see that this is no longer healthy for me,
Mhm.
you go to that other person and you articulate this. You tell them that this isn't really working. I need space. You set that boundary. Is there any fear that they could end up in a worse off spot because you're not there to help them?
Um, yes, but also they are not your responsibility. Like, you have to, your child is your responsibility. If it's a child, yes. But if it's a friend, if it's a family member that, like, is not your kid, uh literally they are not your problem. You know, we, first of all, we cannot save anybody. You can only save yourself, and only if you want to save yourself. Like, if not, then keep going with your loops or whatever. But there's a fear, like you said, oh, are there going to still be friends on the other side? There may not be. And guess what? Like, it's better to be in your own company than in bad company. And if you're just going to be miserable because, like, I'm scared, fear is what keeps you down here. Fear is the only evil that there is. Just fear. If you literally can just laugh in the face of fear, like, it can't do anything to you. It can't. It does not exist. What you give life to exists. So don't fear it. And people are like, what do you mean? There's so much. And it's like, it's really that simple. We just like overcomplicate so much because of the brainwashing we've been under.
What brainwashing is that?
What we've grown up in with, there's always been someone to tell you what to do. There's always been the government's going to tell you what to do. The church is going to tell you what to do. Your job is going to tell you what to do. The school's going to tell you what to do. Your parents are going to tell you what to do. Society's going to tell you what to do. The media is going to tell you what to do. When are you ever just thinking, what do I want to do? Most people make every decision they make based on somebody else's opinion. Well, what are people going to think? What are people going to think if I do this? Are they going to judge me? Are they going to make fun of me? What? Okay, you are literally never living for yourself. You are only living for the perception of others, but you can never control the perception of others because you are not them. And they are only going to judge you based on their life experience that you have not experienced. And no matter how much I share with my people and they think they know me, they don't 100% know me because they haven't lived every single experience that I've lived since the day I was born. So you will never know anybody's perspective. And the ultimate truth is literally just all of us. It's all of us. It's all of our perceptions because we are source broken up into these billions and trillions of little particles experiencing creation. And so us creating the separation between each other and trying to say, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. It's never going to get us anywhere because our truth is just our experience, and that is our perception. And so all truths can exist at once because that is the experience that you are experiencing, and that is source experiencing creation. That's literally all it is. If we could just accept that and be like I was literally just thinking this before we did this podcast. I said we need to stop thinking that because I don't agree or I don't like something. Like, okay, let's say I don't drink, right? So let's say I go, oh, I don't want to date this guy because he drinks too much alcohol. So I'm like, hey, actually, I just don't think we should date. You drink too much. But oh, so you think you're better than me? Okay, I did not say that. I just say I don't want to hang out or date someone who is an alcoholic. That doesn't mean I think I'm better than you. That just means I have different interests than you. And we're looking for different things. And I think that people think that if you say, hey, I don't want to do this because I don't like this in my life, they're like, oh, so you think you're better. And it's like, that's a projection. No, I never said I think I was better. I just said we should go our separate ways. Why are you taking everything so personal? I think like people take things way too personal, and we need to be okay with just telling people like, hey, it's okay that we don't align. It's okay. And we don't have to stay in each other's lives forever. Like you said, people think like you need to be friends with everybody. No, you don't. Believe me. No, you don't. Because when you grow, unless the other people are growing, and most of the time people are not, you're going to grow out of them. Because if you're doing the work to grow, you're going to outgrow those group of people. That was the stage in your life. Like I say, like people come into your life for a reason and a season, and that's it. Like they don't have to be there forever. It's okay. Like it's just the experience of life. Like meet more people, leave your hometown, do things. It's okay.
Yeah, I think that's a difficult thing for especially people who are on this like spiritual, more empathetic path. I think that has to be I'm projecting my own beliefs here, but that's probably a stronger cornerstone, if you will, a stronger piece that is holding people who are empathetic in general, right? Like they have a tendency to have so much like care for others that it comes across or it manifests as a lack of care for themselves.
Mm-hmm. I think that I was watching this video on TikTok that was talking about when girls are boy crazy, they're more in their masculine energy because they want to get this guy. And she's like, a lot of people don't talk about when the guy is girl crazy. When a guy is girl crazy, they fall into more of their feminine energy. And even in their own friend group, they'll be the one that like cares the most and is like, the host and like has more of the feminine energy because they are not attracting that into their life because they want it so bad that they turn into it. And I think that that's literally like what we all do. We want something so bad that we forget about ourselves and start putting everybody else in front of us and everybody else's needs above ours to have that comfort,
Mm.
that love, that, well, I feel bad. Um God, I know it's hard to explain because like I remember just I literally was listening to a voice note that I had from October where I was like bawling and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like everything is just so horrible. And I'm like, oh my God, like I forgot that I was in that place at one time. And then now it's like I've come so far that I'm like, oh yeah, you just do it. People are like, what do you mean you just do it? How do you just do it? And I'm like, oh right, like there are steps. You have to really want to do this. Like you really have to want to find out who the best version of you is without anything holding you back. And that's like my goal. Like I'm just so grateful that I never got married, never had kids, like don't have anything holding me back. And I'm just like, I get to figure out who am I? Like I didn't fall into like the status quo that everybody thought like you should do. And I'm like, I'm so happy. Like I am so happy right now to have no attachments and be like, what happens? This is like a whole new book. What happens now? This is so exciting. And I think people see it as like, oh no, what are you gonna do? Like I'm going to live. I'm gonna live. Like I'm gonna live and do things. Like you know
Right.
what I'm saying? And then I think that a lot of people will try to guilt you, and guilt, it's not really real. Like guilt is in like, I mean, it is, but guilting, like feeling bad about somebody else's feelings, like I'm trying to think of a good example. Like if someone's like wanting to hang out with you all the time and you're like, oh, I need my own space, I think that a lot of people will just give in and be like, oh, well, I feel bad. And it's like, but I don't want to actually do that. Like, I actually just want to be alone. And so we get guilted into doing things that we don't want to do because we feel bad. And so we never even realize that like those people are making that decision for us because you giving in is just, I feel bad. But like, what do you
Yeah, and
really
it's
want?
it's interesting because as you say that, there's like, to my mind, I'm thinking of like situations where if I were to say no, I would feel guilty, and like there's a feeling that if I don't say no, then they're gonna feel guilty. Or does that make sense? If I say yes, then they'll feel. If I say no and I feel guilty for saying no, then they're gonna feel it as well. Like I feel like I'm gonna make them feel bad almost. That
Yes.
didn't make sense, did it?
No, I see what you're saying. You're saying,
Yes, it did, or
okay,
no, it
like
didn't.
if I'm like, hey Clay, like let's hang out, and you're like, oh, I'm not interested. But then you're like, oh, but I feel bad. Okay, well, it's the same thing that you can do
I
in
feel bad for
relationship.
saying no.
I
Yeah.
feel bad for saying no, right? So it's like, oh, I don't want to, and then it's
Yeah.
like, I'm like, oh, and then I feel rejected. And then I feel rejected and I'm like, what did I do? Like, why doesn't he want to hang out with me? Why doesn't he like me? Like, and then you start self deprecating. And it's like, okay, the other person is self deprecating. And then you're on this side, like, oh my God, I feel so bad. I mean, I think she's cool, but I'm just like not interested in hanging out. Like, I honestly don't want to, and I don't want to lead her on. And so you're over here having this internal struggle, and this person's over here having this internal monologue of like, oh my God, what did I do? It's like, no one did anything. It's just you have something else you want to do and go somewhere else with your life, and you're not trying to lead anybody on, and the other person just has to accept it. Like that's it. We can't force people into our lives just because we want them in our lives. Everybody has free will. And if people like, I think that people need to get better at reading energy, because otherwise then you become the asshole for saying no. And it's like, well, if you could take the hints of like, hey, I distanced myself, I stopped replying to your text messages, I stopped calling you, like, started creating some space, or I will literally tell people, I am going to create space from you. I don't want to keep hanging out. And they would just go in one ear out the other. And then when I finally leave, they're like, I'm so confused. It happened overnight. I'm like, it really did not. You just didn't want to listen. People don't want to listen. They hear what they want to hear, and they keep their illusions in their head of what the story is instead of looking at it for what it really is. And that's our problem. We create narratives in our head that are not what's actually happening. And we're not looking at it for like zooming out the
Mm.
lens and be like, what is really happening here? You get like these like goggles, like love, rose colored glasses. And you create this story about this person and these things. It's like never happened. And this other person has a different story in their head. And so it's like, this is why there's so much miscommunication. And then on top of that, nobody says what they're really thinking. They cover it up with an excuse to not make them feel bad instead of being like, hey, I'm just not interested. It would be so much better if we could all just say the truth right up front, and then everyone not take it personal and just be like, oh, that's okay. I guess they weren't the one for me. Great. The universe has someone else. And then you just move on to someone else. Like, it's that easy. There are so many people in the world. Like, we don't have to keep chasing this one person who, like, why do you want to have someone in your life who does not want you in it? It's so easy.
I wonder if it's that they want someone in their life that doesn't want them in it, or if it's a lack of faith or trust or belief that there's another person out there that would want them.
100%, because I was in horrible relationships because I thought like I knew there was more, but I was so like blinded, and I'm like, oh my god, but like, am I ever gonna feel this way again? Are you ever gonna feel like shit again? Yeah, if you allow it. Like, calm down, girl. It's not that serious. But back then, I was just so blinded because of trauma from growing up and wanting to be loved and all this stuff that I'm like, I get it. I do not judge because I get it. But you literally have to get to the point where you're like, I would literally rather be alone than have to be crying every day and be miserable every day and like question and walk on eggshells. Like, the anxiety that I lived with daily from like not just relationships, but from just every aspect of my life, because you're constantly walking on eggshells around everybody. And I think that a lot of people are really upfront about, like, you know, what they want and how they treat you. They don't care to treat you badly, but then you feel so bad. Like, one little thing you do, you're like, oh my god, because you're an empath, and you're like, oh my god, I feel so bad because like I know how it feels, but they don't think about how it feels to you. And so at some point, you have to just fight back, and you have to be like, hey, an eye for an eye. Like, I'm going to let you know how it feels, because clearly nobody's ever came along and told you or made you feel the way you're making me feel. And you need to feel this. Like, I need you to know this is not okay. I think the best way to do that is literally walk away. Walk away and don't look back. Because when you are such an empath and you're such a giver, people get really used to that. Like, they are like, it's like dopamine. You're like, oh my god, this person like loves me. This person keeps calling me. This person keeps wanting to see me. Like, this person is like, oh my god. And then the person's like, okay, this person is not reciprocating, so I'm gonna leave. And then when they leave, you're like, oh my god, wait, what happened? Like, that was my drug. And that's the best thing you could do. Literally take their drug away. Just take it away. And then they'll be like, damn, like they didn't know how good they had it until you were gone. And then you just got to find somebody who appreciates you, because honestly, people just don't appreciate people these days.
Do you think that's from a lack of people appreciating themselves as opposed to like kind of doing that inner work we were talking about? Because if you just jump from relationship to relationship, does that make it like sidestepping the issue?
Yes, I think that not being able to be alone is definitely, like I said, codependency. And yeah, not seeing your worth, and only seeing your worth if other people accept you. And if then you're like, oh my god, nobody likes me. And it's like, no, there are people out there that are going to like you and do like you. You just haven't met them yet. You just have they're like, the people that live in your neighborhood are not the only people in the entire world, or the people that work at your job are not the only people in the entire world, or the people on the internet are not the entire people. Like, there's so many different worlds out there. You just have to move, like, or let the world move around you, and like let it bring you the right things, what frequency you're vibrating on. But it really is like that quote that says, you accept the love you think you deserve. Like, everyone you date or you hang out with, or how you let people in general treat you, is what you will put up with, because you think, well, that's okay. Like, that's okay, or that's not okay. And you can't blame anybody but yourself for allowing that at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a hard blame to carry. It takes a
To
lot
blame
of
yourself?
introspection. Yeah, because it admits that there's some sort of failure within you.
And that is okay because we are literally babies in the universe. We're babies. Like, we are so new. Like, we are so new. We are third dimensional beings accessing the fifth dimension, shifting into the fourth and fifth dimension, now accessing higher dimensions. Like, we are not, I know that people say, like, you are God, you have God within you. Yes, but we are a piece of God. We are not God yet. We don't know how to walk through walls and, create fire with our hands. Like, we haven't gotten back to that. We have all that. We have that in our DNA. We have all those memories in us. We can reactivate that, but we have literally gone to the lowest possible timeline. So now we got to work our way back up. This time it'll be quicker because we will remember our powers again, but we are not God source yet because we have to come together. If we cannot come together, we are never going to get to that power and keep going into these higher dimensions and unlocking more. So we have to look in the mirror and take accountability and admit our wrongs and accept that we're just learning. There are going to be mistakes because there is no rule book here. We're all just like listening to other people's thoughts and what they think is right. So we're going to screw up. And it's okay. It's okay to mess up. Like, everybody has to stop trying to be perfect because nobody is. Look at the state of the world right now. Nobody is.
Yeah, I think one of the best things you can do is kind of try to pick that North Star, if you will, to aim towards. Because, like, I know I'm not perfect, but I have people who listen to this podcast and hopefully take some of the advice and implement some of it. But there's at least some level of responsibility and some discernment that the individual needs to do in order to be like, maybe that piece of advice wasn't for me. Maybe I won't implement that exactly how they said it. Especially with something that's as out there as the topics that we talk about on this podcast, from like consciousness to aliens to, the Arcturian Council. It's like, I know there's probably a lot of people who don't fully dive into it, but they still listen because it's like, I'm interested to hear and see what other people think about this crazy alien channeling world.
It's so funny. I was just thinking about this. I was thinking about this in meditation. When people come to me and say, "Oh my God, I love your videos." I mean, I may not agree with everything you say, but I love your videos. And I'm like, who are you like saying this for? Because
That's
I
beautiful.
I say the crazy things. I say the crazy things. So I'm not gonna judge you for believing everything or agreeing with everything I say. I'm not gonna be like, but I think that people want to, like, it's like they're still protecting themselves by saying, I don't agree with everything. It's like, in a way they're still
I
saying,
see.
like, they're still saying, "Hey, I like your videos, but also I do still think you're crazy. Just so you know, I do still think you're a little crazy, but I do agree with some things, but not everything." And I'm like, "Okay, like, you don't have to agree with this. Is literally, I'm just documenting my journey and experience in life and figuring out this whole thing. This is not for a cult.
That's so great.
I don't want to be a church. I don't want to be a pastor. I don't want to be a leader. I'm literally just a content creator who documents my life, and I share and go down whatever path. I literally started off doing serving skits and comedy, and then I switched to politics and fighting for workers'
I
rights.
saw a few
And
of those.
you saw the
I
the
saw a
comedy
few of those
one?
skits.
See, I'm a funny person.
I think so. It's like shit people say.
Oh my God, that was literally in 2013. Oh my God, or 2012. Man, that one actually did go viral on YouTube, and I should have started my YouTube career then, but I
That
did
was a
not. And
long
you know
time
what?
ago.
I do want to say I'm very
Oh.
grateful that this took so long. My whatever
You could
social
do
media
you could do
presence.
shit people say in the spiritual. Oh yeah, you could do like shit people say in the spirituality community.
Oh my God. I don't know. I don't pay
That would be a good
attention.
one.
I literally don't pay attention too much about that stuff. And I just don't like the shit customers say was funny because like people are so ridiculous. But I think I've seen somebody do something similar, like the things that people say in spiritual community. And I just feel like in a way it's kind of like making fun. And those people at that time, like, that's really what they believe in. And I don't want to be mean and like making fun of their belief system. That's really what they believe.
You can have fun with it. I mean, people believe in Jesus and Muhammad and all that stuff, and people put him in comedy skits all the time. Have
Yeah.
you ever heard of Brent Pella? Have you heard of
No.
Brent Pella?
No.
You should do a YouTube search on him. He's got a lot of skits in like terms of spirituality.
Oh,
And
really?
I think he has a new special coming out soon. or something. Yeah, but you should check him out on YouTube. He is fucking funny, man. He does all that type of stuff, like crystal babies at a festival or something, like shit like that, and it's so well done where it's like just perfectly over the top, where it's like, okay, no one's actually kind of saying that, but it's like the
Yeah.
energy behind it is like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I know people kind of say that, you know.
No, it is funny. Although I will say I was just watching a TikTok and it was about some comedian telling somebody to go off themselves and just kept going on and on after the girl was like, I already tried, and like just kept saying, well, try harder next time. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to say something because comedians are really crossing the line lately, I feel like, with a lot of their jokes. Like, I'm not all here to be like PC and, whatever. Like, I love comedy. But I think like the heckling of the audience members, when it gets like personal like that, I'm like, okay, you guys got to like put a halt to it. Like, you don't have to go in so hard on people, especially because I feel like it's just so disrespectful to your audience, to the people that paid money to come see you. And it's like, you're just telling them, like, yeah, go off yourself. Like, you should definitely try harder next time. Your mom should have like aborted you. I'm like, oh my God, this is just so mean. Like, why would you say this to people? I can be
I
a
would
mean
say it
person, but I think
probably,
when it gets to that stuff, it's like, ugh, I just think it's too much.
I think it depends case by case, first of all, but then even more so, I think there's an element of, it's a comedy show, so you got to be ready for like anything that's going to come up. And on top of that, if they're offering up the information like, oh, I already tried to kill myself, I think they're in for the bit. Like they're down for it. You know, like I've seen some comedians who will make fun of either crippled people or, people who have mental disabilities. And there's a piece of me that's like, they're having a human experience too. Like, don't treat them any different just because of, some sort of physical or mental disability. And, if it's out on the street, maybe, but like, even then, like, I'm still going to be nice to them, shake their hands. Like, do you really want someone to like kind of pamper you and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, how can I help you? How can I make your life easier? Versus, hey, what's up? I'm Clayton. Like, how are you doing? What's going
Right.
on?
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah, yeah, I guess so. And they say that the people who did come to Earth with disabilities and stuff like that are actually like the oldest, wisest souls because they chose to come in with that because they knew that, like, one, they say that done it before and they're just so wise that they knew coming in that they could handle that, and that it's not a
Mm,
punishment, it's literally them coming in to help. It's a service to others by allowing themselves to be in that position to see how, it's a reflection, like how we treat them is a reflection of us. So they come in with this disability to be
right.
like, how are people going to treat me? And it's really a service to others just to be in this body. It's crazy.
So why do you say that they're actually older or the oldest souls that are on this planet? What makes you say that?
I think I heard that from maybe Dolores Cannon. I'm not sure, but they say that they're the older souls because they are they have done enough lives where they can come back and not take this type of stuff like really personal. And they understand the mission for it, and apparently it like speeds up your soul's process in Earth School, I guess. To come like, the harder your life is, the more experienced and advanced you are. That's what they say. So I'm like, oh, I
Okay.
guess we're all pretty advanced souls here because we are having a pretty tough time.
I'm trying to do a quick Google search on this.
I wonder. I
I
think it
feel like
was so.
I've read something. I feel like it sounds like a Dolores Cannon type thing.
Yeah, I think Dolores Cannon said it in one of her like hypnotherapy sessions, QHT sessions. That souls that come in with disabilities are like older, wiser souls.
Because I think the other thing that I've seen is it like also could see, again, I haven't heard this in a while, but that it works off a lot of their karma.
Yes,
But I
yes.
don't know.
That's
Is
what I
that
meant
is
when.
that what it is, or is it something?
Well,
Is it
that's what I meant when it's like, oh, it helps ascend their soul faster because it works off a lot of their karma. Yeah. So like, I'm
okay?
guessing these people that choose this, these souls that choose this, they probably are like, oh my God, I was such like a horrible person in my last life. Okay, give me a disability and then I'll come back and pay it all forward, like literally just in this life. Because in the end, there's no judgment. It's really just yourself. Like, are you okay with your journey? And then you're like, oh no, I should not have done that. Let me go back. Let me fix it this time. And then you just come back and fix it. Because in the end, it really is for this one goal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not able to find anything online about it, but I do feel like I've read something similar to that.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
But I think the meta thing is that it comes back to like the teaching, because I've even had this kind of idea even with like kids. Like, you can kind of approach them and be like, oh, like, are you okay? Or you could kind of take the approach of like, it's another person, right? Like, why don't I just kind of go up, like,
Right.
meet them with high energy, of course, but also just say like, hey, I'm Clayton. Like, how's you doing? Don't kind of like ignore them or sidestep them or think that their opinion's any less valid. It's like, that's a human being right there. I mean, maybe they're
Right.
not as wise whenever it comes to intellectual or philosophical debates, but their viewpoint of the world is just as valid as any of ours.
I definitely disagree in the point that I feel like they're so much more connected to source because their third eye hasn't been as calcified and they haven't been as brainwashed as we have. I love, I don't really like kids, but now that I know all this, I'm like, oh my God, if there is a kid that's like 3 years old, I will ask them a bunch of questions because 3 years old is just such a pivotal point where they can form, like they can understand what you're saying, form thoughts and sentences, and they haven't forgotten their past yet. And so those are the kids that really remember their past lives. They remember, like, they can see things you can't see. One time I was at the park and there was like this little girl like climbing the tree next to me, and I'm like, hey, so have you because I was like, I know there's some shift that went on New Year's. So it's like, hey, have you noticed anything different since New Year's? And she was like, well, I don't see the red and black dots anymore. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so I was like, okay, so she's not seeing this energy anymore because kids can see energy. And so she was like saying how she could see these red and
Whoa.
black dots around. And I was like, okay, got it. And so I like to ask these kids questions because I'm like, these kids got information that we don't have. And like my followers will tell me, like, my kid is saying that he can see spaceships in the sky. He said he could see the aliens. And I'm like, yes, yes, keep asking them questions because they can see
Yeah.
so much more than we can. And I'm like, I want to be in like the eyes of a kid again. And so that's what I'm trying to get everybody back to. Like, relax, everybody. Life is supposed to be fun. We're so stressed out, like I was at the beginning of this. Um, it was supposed to be
Yeah,
fun.
while we're on this, to satisfy the people with more scientifically minded, I just pulled up an article of on med.virginia.edu. So it's University of Virginia School of Medicine, and the title of the article is Children Who Report Memories of Previous Lives. And in quote, some young children, usually between the ages of 2 and 5, speak about memories of a previous life they claim to have lived. At the same time, they often show behaviors such as phobias or preferences that are unusual within the context of their particular family and cannot be explained by any current life events. These memories appear to be concordant. Concordant. I've never read that word before. These memories appear to be concordant with the child's statements about a previous life.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Have you watched Matthias Stefano stuff? Do you know who he is?
No, I've heard his name, but no, I've not
Oh my
taken the
God.
Mateos DeStefano's rabbit hole. What's he all
Do,
about?
do you have Gaia?
I do not have Gaia, no.
Sir. You know what Gaia is though, right?
Wow. If judgment was a look,
And that's right.
I know there's
Uh
people mostly listening, but if judgment was a look, I just got it.
Wait, is this not they're not going to be able to watch this? Do you post this anywhere?
It'll
You
be
just
on
do the
YouTube.
audio?
Yeah, at
Oh,
some
okay,
point.
okay. Okay, so
YouTube's
go.
kind of delayed a bit, and I'm still working on figuring out how to grow my YouTube channel. For some reason, it doesn't like to grow. And I think it's because I got a strike or a warning from the
They'd be
people at
doing that.
YouTube. But yeah, that's a whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
that's
I
a whole
got you.
thing.
I got it, man. Yeah, I got banned off
Yeah.
TikTok and everything.
Yeah.
So, okay, so Matthias Stefano
What'd you
is
get banned for?
because I was predicting the
Wait,
timelines.
let's finish. Yeah, let's finish this idea. We'll finish with Mateus, and then we'll go to TikTok banning. So let's finish the Mateus rabbit hole. Who's this
Oh,
guy?
Matthias Stefano is a guy who remembers all of his. I think he's like around our age. He remembers all of his past lives. So he does have a lot of stuff up on Gaia, where he shares his past life experiences. I haven't watched all the stuff on Gaia. I've literally just been like listening to podcasts and stuff like that. But he grew up in a home that was like had no belief system. So no religion, no spirituality, no nothing. And so then, but as a kid, he would just start remembering like his wife from a different life, his kids from a different life. He would just start remembering all this stuff. And then he was able to like see energy and do all this stuff. And so he started telling his family about it. And they're like, oh, that's
Whoa.
cool. Like they never shut him down because they didn't have any beliefs on anything. So they were just like, oh, that's really interesting. And then his teacher, he said his teacher could see auras and stuff. So then he would talk to his teacher about it. So he definitely picked a life where no one was going to tell him he was crazy. No one was going to say no, because his mission on earth is to be a portal and to literally tell people like, hi, this is not all there is. And we do have past lives. And this is actually never ends. You are eternal. And so you wanting like me, wanting to leave this place all the time. I'm like, where are the aliens coming? Pick me up. He's like, yeah, you have to be okay with the fact that you are just unlocking new dimensions the more that you start, connecting to source and your chakras and doing all this work. But it's all here. Like it's all here. Like hell, heaven, everything. And I'm like, I don't want to
Mm.
accept that. I really hope he's wrong about that one. Because I still have faith that like we will be able to go travel the cosmos and like the aliens will show up. But for now, we have to just accept being here on Earth. And if we can't be happy with what we have in this planet, then we don't get it anything. It's like be happy with what you have
Well, I'm
and then you get
confused.
more.
How? Yeah. Oh, well, there's definitely a deep lesson there. How does that idea, though, that everything's right here conflict with the idea of being able to travel the cosmos and meet aliens? Are they not the same?
Well, see, yeah. Oh, for me, okay, this is what I want. Like, I am thinking, like, I really want to see legit physical aliens show up, like in spaceships. Like, I want, maybe the sky's like a dome, like Hunger Games, and it just like it's a grid, a matrix grid, and it's just like we're inside of a computer, and it's like we're Westworld, and it just like, fragments one day, and we're just like, oh my God. And then the aliens like come in ships, and like it's all like, haha, you're on the Truman Show. Like, we were watching you this entire time. Like, there's so many, I think about this all the time. Like, there's so many possibilities. I finally just stopped trying to figure it out because I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to figure out what the truth is until if it happens. But I think it's going to be fun and it's going to be a party whenever we figure this out or if they ever show up. But let's say that doesn't happen and we have to just like be here and accept everything here. Then you just like it's kind of like what's been happening with me. Like the more that you're open to this, the more that you start seeing. So a lot of people like you could be looking at the same sky, which I have with people, and then I'm like, do you guys see that? Like I will see a UFO and they're like, they don't see it. So I'm like, okay, so we're right now living in the same existence in the same plane, but we are in two different dimensions because they're seeing this dimension that's right here, and I'm seeing beyond this dimension. I'm seeing beyond the veil, which is what a lot of people, in the spiritual community can do. So it's
Mm.
both, like you said, it's both. It's like you unlock more features the more you grow, and then you can start seeing spirits, whatever you want to call it, UFOs, aliens. You can start communicating. But for me, I'm like, I haven't seen that yet. So aliens, can you guys show up like for everybody? Like I want real like Men in Black. I just want it to be like a movie. Like that would be so much fun. I think we deserve it. I think we have put in the work and I think we deserve something cool.
Well, it's interesting based on your the interpretation you laid out right there. It sounds like what you're saying is that they are here. It's just you have to everyone has to do the individual work to raise themselves to their own frequency or like the high enough frequency so that they are able to see them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're kind of, you see the catch-22 I'm putting out there?
Yes, it makes me sad
You just
because
want people's you want people's minds broken. That's what you
yeah,
want.
yeah, I want people to be
You want to
like,
fuck yeah.
yeah, I want like a like fuck yeah moment, like Team America, fuck yeah. No, I'm just kidding, but like I do want like a real like oh my god, like I just think like okay, you grow up in religion and you're like oh there's gonna be like this oh my god it's 111 there's gonna be like the second coming blah blah. You always grow up believing like I think everyone believes something will happen at some point. I think maybe there's some people like that are like, no, nothing's ever going to happen. And I'm like, oh God, that is such a miserable life. I want to have hope and faith that something cool will happen, because then that makes every day fun. Like, what's going to happen? Are you guys going to show up today? Okay, not today. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow's the day. So that's how I think every day. But it really is like, we have to meet the frequency. It's like the vortex. Like, I don't know if you listen to Abraham Hicks. It's like the vortex. Everything that you
A little
want,
bit.
everything that you want, everything that you need, it's there. It's there. You just have to meet the frequency so that you can pull things out of the vortex. And you're not in the vortex when you're doubting. When you're doubting, when you're questioning, when you're asking how, when you're in fear, then you're here and the vortex is over here. And it's like, well, I'm over here, but you're over here. So I guess we can't meet. And so then you have to literally be like, okay, I have it. It is mine. It is already mine. I already have it. And then not stress. And then you get closer and closer and closer until all of a sudden they just start coming to you because you met the frequency, because you're literally just a ball of energy. And so then everything starts, it's like a magnet, starts gravitating towards you. And you're like, oh my gosh, wow, I did it. I finally did it. You literally just have to keep going. You can't stop. If you stop, you're never going to get it.
Well, and it sounds like it's relating back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast with fear, right? It sounds like that at the end of the day, if we can just get over the fear of whatever we have, whether it's with money, whether it's with this, whether it's with that, pushing past that fear is the final stand, if you will. It's what's going to take us across that finish line.
100%. And that's exactly what Matthias also has talked about. He's like, there is like, demons are just, they're just fourth dimensional beings. They're just beings that also are just trying to figure out how to, like, they're just doing their work. They're in their vibration and they're just doing their job. Everybody's just vibrating at their frequency. And so just let them do their job. Don't bother them. If you don't observe them and you're like scared of them, you're not giving them the fear that they're going to thrive off of, they will leave you alone because they are not getting the energy from you. It's like energy vampires. If you're not giving someone your energy who's draining it, they're going to look elsewhere to get their drug. And so that's the same thing like demons are. It's like, I literally just don't believe anything could ever happen to me. I'm just like, I'm protected. And people are like, you can't think like that. You have to be safe all the time, blah, blah. And I'm like, I mean, I never really liked this life that much, so I didn't really care. I was like, I'm fine. Like, whatever.
That took a dark turn.
No, that's literally how I was. I was so depressed. I was like, take me out, God, at any moment. I am ready to go. And he's like, haha, no, you're going to have to stay there. And I'm like, damn it. And so here we are. But now it's fun. Now that I figured out like all the codes and algorithm and start like the matrix decoding and how you can cheat the system. And that's why I got banned off TikTok. Segue.
Well, let's dive into that then. If you're bringing this back up again, I'm interested.
Well, you wanted to bring it. You asked me about it, so I'm back to it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you did. I was actually just thinking about it before you said it, so it's perfect timing.
Look at that.
So what happened? What did you post? What did you post that got you kicked off the platform?
Oh, everything. So I
everything got you kicked off?
Yeah. I don't think anybody has gotten as many violations as I had on TikTok and not gotten banned for as long as I did. So I started off with my Alex Serves Serving Skits account, and then I switched over to Alex Serves Tea, which was my backup, like not a backup, but it was like a spam account. Like I didn't care about it. I was just like for people who wanted to get to know me personally to follow me there. And then I kept blowing up like random videos. I would just tell stories and then it would go viral. And I'm like, okay, I didn't want anybody to know about this page. And now it's my 1.1 million page. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't do the serving skits anymore because I'm not a server anymore. But those are still fun and funny. And then they're all true stories and they all really did happen. And I did really all say all of those things, which nobody ever believes me. And then Alex Serves Tea started. And then in May of 2021, I made a video talking about why Chili's Bar and Grill is horrible to their employees and they're going to go under. And that went viral. And then when that went viral, I got a bunch of people messaging me about sexual harassment allegations that they had reported to HR that Chili's did nothing about. So that really pissed me off because I didn't even know about that. I just was like, oh, this company just sucks and corporate's horrible. They don't care about their employees. They literally like this whole tipping thing was bullshit. And so I was like, wait, what? And so when I got like so many people messaging me about sexual harassment cases, literally look up Alex Serves Tea Chili's and you will see so many articles about me. Because I was making for a year, I have an entire playlist called Expose the Pepper on Alex Serves Tea. And it's me just exposing all of the horrible work practices from Chili's and they would steal pretty much the tips from the employees. They dropped the cooks' wages in California from $20 an hour to $13 an hour and started having the servers tip them out of their money. Oh, they also partnered with It's Just Wings, like DoorDash, and then we're having like ghost kitchens. So then they were having the employees do double the work for no extra pay. And then there was so many sexual harassment allegations against them that never went through. So, of course, Chili's caught literally just saw the first video and
Well,
like,
let's look. Oh, let's look here. I'm seeing on the EEOC.gov, which is U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
mm-hmm.
9/12/2022. So what? September 12th last year. Chili's Grill and Bar sued by EEOC for sexual harassment of teens in Texas and Arkansas restaurants.
Oh my God, I didn't know about that one.
Dallas, Memphis, Liquor Rock. 2 Chili's Grill and Bar restaurants in Arkansas and Texas subjected female employees, including teens, to sexually hostile work environments in violation of federal law. The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission charged in lawsuits filed in, I completely butchered that reading.
No, you're
Basically, they
fine.
got charged.
Yeah, no, there are so many lawsuits against them. You have no idea.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was just the first one that came up.
No, I have
I could
so
look at other
much.
ones, but then are you saying on your TikTok to search Chili's?
Hold on, you froze.
Are you there? Did I lose you? Can you hear me?
Okay, got you.
Can you
No,
hear the sound
literally,
of my voice?
if you literally just Google like Alex Hurst T Daily Dot, you will see all the articles that they wrote because I would literally they hated me. Chili's hated me. Here's the thing. I worked at Chili's. I worked at Chili's.
Daily Dot.
Yeah, they like, well, and then it would just like all these other people would freaking write about it, but you could see Alex Hurst T and then like all the articles. I've like
yeah, here you
DoorDash.
are. You got 2 big picture of you. Let's see here. Daily Dot. The title is trying to protect your public image, quote. TikToker says Chili's didn't honor sign-on bonuses. Criticize its employee appreciation post. Updated.
Forgot about that one.
Calling a random day, quote, employee appreciation day is a lot cheaper than paying your employees what you promised. Let me blow this up a little so I can read it. A woman on TikTok says Chili's, that's you, a woman. A woman on TikTok says Chili's has not been honoring promises of sign-on bonuses for its new employees. The woman, a former, why do they keep saying the woman?
The woman. Like, I think that is
former
just so
Chili's.
like, I'm not that old.
I don't
like
get it.
The lady. Like, okay, the ma'am. Okay, calm down.
Well, they introduce you here. The woman, a former Chili's worker known as Alex, runs a TikTok account, Alex Serves Tea, which I'm guessing you're saying that one, dedicated to, quote, spilling the tea, quote, which is so on point with that. In a recent video posted on the account, she called out Chili's after receiving Instagram direct messages from alleged Chili's workers complaining about not receiving their promised business or their promised bonuses. In the video, Alex showed a Chili's marketing video for the restaurant's, quote, team member appreciation day, end quote. But according to Alex, Chili's doesn't appreciate their workers at all. Then Alex shared a screenshot of an Instagram message she said she received from a Chili's worker. In the message, the worker wrote that they were hired at Chili's, quote, under the assumption, end quote, that they would receive a $100 bonus after starting and a $300 bonus after 90 days. After nearly a year of working at Chili's, they said they hadn't received either of the bonuses. The worker said that they've called Chili's multiple times, their corporate team, to no avail. Quote, wow, I'm not surprised, quote, Alex wrote back to the worker. Said that when she worked at Chili's, she did receive her promised bonuses, but only because her managers were, quote, really good. Quote, I find it funny that this morning you post a video saying that we love our employees so much, yet every single day I keep getting messages about how much you don't care about your employees, Alex said, addressing Chili's. You are trying to protect your public image because I'm sitting here dragging it. Nice. Good quote there. I like that. Then Alex pointed out that the Chili's team member relations senior manager removed their profile picture on LinkedIn, which Alex claimed is in her response to her post calling out the company. She also claimed that the manager, quote, sent her clan, quote, to bully Alex on Instagram. They can't do that.
Oh,
They can't do that.
it got ugly.
You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, it was crazy. That's actually only
Supposedly,
one article. Like,
Chili's. Okay.
there's so many
Yeah.
because that's only just the bonuses.
I
They
don't want to dive down
also
the article.
you want to read the article?
Yeah, go ahead. No, I
Oh, I'm
don't.
like,
I
oh,
don't.
okay, because I
There's
was
a
like,
little delay between us, but yeah.
I was like, it's kind of long. That's why I'm like, you don't have to keep reading it.
Yeah, take it over. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd
So
rather talk to you. That's why you're here.
there's don't worry, you can Google me after. So there's that one. There's the fact that they didn't follow COVID policy of like having people stay home if they were sick. So everybody was getting COVID in the entire like everywhere. They had the sexual
Oof.
harassment allegations that they never addressed, and they would just transfer managers without actually like reprimanding them or doing anything. They would just transfer them stores. They would fire the employees that came forward to HR about sexual harassment allegations because they can afford to lose their management team. And then there's also like, oh my God, there's so much. There's so much. I literally went for a year because I worked for them and they were great. Like my store was great.
This
I
went
didn't
a
have it.
year? Hold on. This went on for a year? You're making
Yeah.
videos about this for a year?
Oh, I was
Oh my
determined.
gosh.
Because do you
Oh my
understand that
gosh.
every single I literally was known all over Chili's, like all over globally, like the Chili's girl. You're the Chili's girl. I'm like, yeah. I literally partnered up with like Restaurant Opportunity Centers United. I started a petition. I did press conferences. I contacted shareholders to tell them that the CEO was lying about the numbers because I had managers contacting me like, this is not true. Everything that's in the media is false. And so I was combating everything that Chili's would come out with and say. I would have proof from the actual staff and employees that it was all a lie. And so I started just exposing everything because they had fired me over like some story time video that I did over some girl. Like this girl didn't like me. And so she called HR on me over like some video I made where there was like no names dropped. And I was like, and I had partnered with Chili's. Literally, if you go to my Alex serves, I have a partnership video with them and right before COVID hit. And then like they fired me. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like I was a very faithful and amazing employee, but if you guys want to really do this, okay, sure. And then I just like let it go. I got fired in like September. And then in like May came around and my friends from Florida were telling me about like how horrible things were. And I was like, fuck this. Like I don't know Chili's shit. And then I was like, people were like, oh my God, like this is nobody was calling out businesses by name on TikTok. Nobody was going by name and naming who did it and with evidence and everything. And I was the first one to start doing it. And I used to get threatened. Like literally HR was calling me and I was like, I don't work for you. I don't owe you anything. Like they'd be like, who are you talking about? Like, who are these people? And I was like, well, I don't know, Kristen. If you had done your job, then you would know who I'm talking about. But how many people have come to you with sexual harassment allegations and you haven't done anything about it? Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard to find if it was only one case, but it wasn't. It was for years. And so I just started exposing all this shit. And so they were like, oh, they would report my shit. Like I was getting banned at least once or twice a week for literally 80 weeks. I don't think anybody has lasted on TikTok that long getting that many bans. I used to get banned. Like you will, if you go down my page, I'm like, I'm banned for 3 days. I'm banned for 7 days. I have so many backups because they were always banning me because Chili's and the National Restaurant Association partnered with TikTok for ads and DoorDash. I was also going after DoorDash and they partner with TikTok for ads. And I'm sitting here exposing it and it's going viral and it's
Oh.
getting headline news. And so TikTok is like ban, ban, ban. And I'm like, no. And I just
Oh.
kept coming back. And it was insane. Like it was like a battle of like everyone's like, yeah, fuck Chili's. And so in the end, the CEO retired surprisingly retired after I kept coming after him because I had proof of everything and I was like contacting the shareholders and everything. And then now it's going under and their stocks are horrible. And so I did my job. I just wanted the voices to be heard. And I had nothing to lose. I had like nothing. I knew that they could not sue me for defamation. My parents were like freaking out. Like everybody was like, you're gonna get sued. And I was like,
Mm.
For what? I have the proof. These people are telling the truth. So you cannot sue me for defamation unless you have evidence that I am lying, and I'm not lying. So I knew that I couldn't get in trouble. I never even got a cease and desist. Like I was just going and like they had all my information. I was a previous employee. I didn't care. I just kept going. I was like, I don't care.
Wow.
So it was insane. I was just like a woman on a mission. I was like, I'm not stopping until something fucking gets done. And then it did. So I'm so proud
Well,
of
good for
myself.
you. I'm proud of you too. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then, so
Oh,
that's what happened with
wow.
that. But
Well,
then
what
in April,
fuckery? What fuckery by the go ahead,
no,
does
go
this
ahead.
add
Go
on
ahead.
to it?
No, go ahead. No, this is
I'm just gonna say,
the,
like, what
the
fuckery with something different?
it's like, it's how my content shifted into what it is now. And then when my page got taken down,
Okay.
because it didn't
But
get
I just
taken
think,
down
like,
during all that time.
what fuckery by, like, Chili's and DoorDash with TikTok. And it's like, "Hey, this is hurting our public image, like, we need to ban this girl.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta stop her." Like, man, that's oh, if there's something that's scary, it's that money can, deteriorate free speech and then
Oh,
mix that with a handful of sexual harassments that get thrown under the table. Oh, man.
yeah.
Because then they're not getting paid. That's, it's shit like that. That's just, how do we fix that? Do you have any ideas of what's your thought? What's your like first go-to of how we can fix that, right? Because like TikTok needs to make their money off of ads. The company needs to stay a company. I don't know. Like what, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. What do you make of that? How do you fix that whole paradigm?
Of TikTok choosing corporations and profit over people, just like literally every corporation. You just accept the fact that they are all in it together and we have to stand together because the ants outnumber the grasshoppers. A Bug's Life. And you literally like,
Mm,
if
great
one
reference.
if one ant stands up to us, they all stand up to us. They outnumber us 100 to 1. Yeah, so do we. We outnumber these people by so much, and we are in so much fear, thinking like, "Oh my god, I can't find another job." There are a million jobs you can do. Like, you literally don't have to only work at this one place. I never feared getting fired because I didn't give a fuck. I'm like, I was a server for 17 years. And if people were rude to me, I was just rude back. And my manager's like, "You can't do that." I'm like, "Well, they can't talk to me like that. I'm still a person. I don't give a fuck that I'm on the clock." And I think that people just forget that,
Mm,
like, you are not just your job title. You are not just your job. You are a person. And so when people walk into the doors of a restaurant, they just like, all their manners go out the door. They just forget. They just like, "You're my servant." I am not your servant. I am a server. And I'm here to make this a pleasurable experience. And if you're not going to make it a pleasurable experience for me, you're going to get it right back. And don't get pissed off when you see the reflection of yourself back at you because you did it to me first. I was fine. Nobody told you to come into my establishment and eat here. Why are you pissed off? You just got here. Like, calm down. I get you're hangry, but chill. Literally, it is just food. And like, COVID was insanity, like with restaurants. The fact that we were still considered essential workers during COVID, I'm like, this is insane. But also, haha, to everybody who was like, "Oh my God, you're just a server." Oh my God, well, I'm the only one still fucking making money and you're laid off. So how's that? It was a crazy time.
yeah, that's another whole rabbit hole
I
there.
know.
I really like that phrase though, profit over people.
Yeah, that's
We
what I
got to
did
really
with
find a way to
my
shift that paradigm to people over profit.
Yeah, that's what I did with my Chili's thing. Like, when I partnered up with Restaurant Opportunity Centers United, we started a whole page where people could go to them and tell them their stories. And so if we had enough, and we do have enough stories, that we could go after them, legally for everything. And so that's why there are so many lawsuits now going on. But that's what I put. I put profit over Chili's puts profit over people. And that's everything. Like, they're all just the same. They're all corporations. What needs to change is us. We like, okay, people are like pissed off about the laws that are being passed and about this being, "Oh my God," and "I can't believe," like, inflation. And it's like, you guys understand this is going to keep happening until you say no. Like, who is going to just stop taking advantage of you? Not them. They don't give a fuck. But we as people, like, this is what bothers me, is knowing that there are real people working in that HR department. And those real people have no empathy. Those real people are putting profit over people. So it literally stems from us. Like, we are just an employee to this job that we are making. Like, we are letting it run our life and we are letting it make our moral decisions because, well, this is what they tell me to do. They told me to brush it under the rug. But if I don't, then I'm going to get fired. And it's like, and like, you care that much about this stupid
Mhm.
job than this person who came to you telling you that they got assaulted, and you care more about your job than this person. Like, we have to take accountability. People say, "Why does God let these things happen?" God is just a spectator. God created and let creation do its thing. And this is what we did with it. So maybe start looking in the mirror and stop blaming everybody else and say, "Well, am I doing anything to fix the problem, or am I just complaining? Am I just sitting here like, damn, what are we going to do? I don't know. Speak up like I did. I literally just spoke up and started exposing this shit because nobody else wanted to. Everybody just wanted to keep hiding. And then it started this whole trend. Everybody started fucking exposing all the corporations, like everywhere
Well,
now.
I mean, what really stood out to me there is how much this all came back to fear. The
Yeah.
reason that there's people in HR department aren't saying anything is because they're afraid that there's not another job. People aren't
Yeah.
speaking up against large corporations because there's this perceived image that they have all the money and power. And that perceived image is what gives them that power.
Yeah.
And yet, if you activate your voice, if you do things that you're afraid to do, I mean, it's like you might feel the initial hardship, but like the long-term effects are just completely changeable. I mean, it's the same thing with like Nazi Germany. It was just like one step at a time. You get to a point where you start dragging people out in the streets and killing mothers in front of their kids, all because you were told to do it and you're
Yeah.
afraid to say no of doing it.
And this is my problem when it comes to the fear over AI. People are so scared about AI is going to take over. And I'm like, do you realize that you are the AI because you don't think for yourself? You don't have a thought for yourself. You think, what does the entire world tell me that I should be thinking? And that is what I think. We are ever, like, literally, when I did ayahuasca, I saw humanity and I was inside of a honeycomb. And so it was like telling me, like, literally, humanity, they're just bees. They're just worker bees. They don't think for themselves. They just do.
Fuck.
And I'm like, can everybody just like
Yeah.
be the queen bee? And I'm like, fine, I'll be the queen bee. But seriously, like, everybody, can you guys please think for yourselves? So I'm like, you shouldn't fear the AI. You are the AI. You are all robots. You are all robots. You're all doing what you think everybody else tells you. Well, what should I do? When people come to me, they're like, what's your opinion on this? I'm like, what's your opinion on this? Well, I believe it. I'm like, and that's all that matters. Yeah, who cares what I think? Why are you asking me? I mean, at first I would tell people because they would ask me. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, whatever you want to think, I don't care. Who cares? Stop looking for other people to give you validation on your thoughts. And I do it. I think we all do it every day. We all think like, oh my God, well, like when I was, stuff with my business, will like ask my followers, like, are you guys okay with this? And my sister's like, why are you asking them? This is your business. You don't need their approval. If they
Mm.
want to do it, they will do it. If they don't, then they won't. But who cares? Like, do what you want to do. And I'm like, you're right. Like, I need to stop. It's like I'm constant, even just every day. I'm like, okay, guys. Like, I talk to my spirit guides, and I'm like, okay, guys, what do you guys want me to do today? And they're like, what do you want to do today? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you want me to do? It's like I'm constantly looking for someone to tell me what I should be doing every day instead of asking myself. Like, I literally was like in the mirror, like, okay, girl, what are we doing today? What are we going to do? Okay, yeah, we should do that. We should go get food at that restaurant and we should go do these things. And then I'm like, okay, and that's what I'm doing. And then it's like, I have to literally walk myself through life. Like, I have to parent myself. We're just so used to being like coddled in this world. And we have to stop
Mm.
being such babies about everything. Like, grow up, grow up. It's time we grow up as a species. We have to grow up.
To me, that resonates as taking responsibility for your life,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, not leaving it up to the spirits or leaving it up to God. Or I believe this is traditionally called spiritual bypassing, where it's like, shit, I just drew a blank. Oh, the spiritual bypassing, which is like, oh, I'm divine energy and I'm connected to my spirits and to God and he'll take care of everything. And just like you said, I mean, I see it, I guess the way I see it is God is like a conscious observer and there's a piece of us within him, in us, of him, and we can ask for his power and his blessing to do things. But to your point, we have to actually freaking do things.
Right.
It's not just going to all happen and flow to us if you're not doing anything. If you're staying in the same habits or the same situations, it's not going to change anything at all.
Exactly. Because everything is energy. And so if you are just saying, okay, I really want like this, new Ferrari. Okay, now I'm going to lay in my bed and wait for the Ferrari to show up. It's like, okay, the chances of that happening are about 0.1%. So if you put in the energy of like, okay, I want this Ferrari, so I'm going to get this job because if I start saving for it, then it'll come to me, like I can buy it. Just the universe seeing like, okay, they're putting in the energy. Now we can start moving things closer. That's how it is. It's like you have to meet it essentially like halfway. So it's here and you're here. And you're like, if you stay here, it's going to take so much longer for the manifestation to come to you. So you have to meet it halfway. Okay, fine. You're over here and I'm over here. Why don't we meet halfway? I'm going to start going and going and going. And then it's going to start like a magnet getting closer and closer until it meets you. And it happens so much quicker when you just start putting the energy forth of like, I'm going to start doing like, okay, I'm starting to do one-on-one sessions. The person that I was going to do the one-on-one session with canceled. And I'm like, that's fine. It wasn't meant to be. But I went through with the process. I showed the universe like, hey, I'm ready for this. I'm ready to take this step. And the universe was like, are you? Okay, I'm going to send you this person. Are you going to go through the steps? Are you going to set up the appointment? Are you going to actually do this? And so I did all the steps. I scheduled everything. And then they canceled last minute. And I was like, oh my God, great. It wasn't meant to be. But like now I know how to do this for the next person that comes. And now I don't have to stress about the steps that I have to take like today. Now I learned something new. And so every day it's just like, okay, well, that wasn't meant to be, but I showed the universe like I'm ready for this. And so the universe will be like, okay, they're ready. They did the steps. Now let's bring them more of that. And then that's just how it flows. It's just this literally just like flow.
Just a
ride
cycle.
The wave. Yeah,
just
ride the wave.
Flow. Well, let's jump back to your TikTok story then, because we didn't get to the part where you actually got banned. So what was the next evolution in that?
Okay, so oh my God, I have been drinking so much water. I have to go to the bathroom, but I know you don't cut these. And we still have like another hour now.
Well, go for it. Go for it.
What, to the
Go
bathroom?
for it. I'll entertain them.
Okay.
Entertain them. How quick? Can you be quick?
Yeah.
Or somewhat quick?
Yeah, definitely.
Somewhat sort of quick.
Not as quick as a guy, but quick. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, all right. We'll be right back. Maybe we'll cut some of this. Guys, drink mushy love. Promo code Clayton at checkout. Link in my link tree. So this is pretty cool, though. I honestly didn't know that Alex had all of this background with Chili's. I didn't realize she was the Chili's destruction girl. I knew Chili's was going under, but I had no idea that she was the mastermind that brought this whole thing down. I'm going to see if I can try to find some other stuff. I hope she's okay to talk about this. I should ask her, because I know if you're like in lawsuits, you shouldn't be speaking of stuff like this, but maybe she's personally not involved in it. She's put other people in charge. So I wonder what legality there is with that. Now that you're back, we were briefly talking about the legality with Chili's. Are you okay to disclose all that stuff? Like, are you not a part of any of like the litigation or the legal process? Like, you're good to talk about it?
No, I pretty much like, okay. I'm a manifester. So I just get the crowds riled up and then I leave other people in charge. I'm like, all right, guys, we did it. Now take over. I'm on to the next mission. And then that's how it goes.
Oh gosh.
I'm not a
That's dangerous.
I'm not a manifesting generator. I'm just a manifester. I'm meant to get
me.
I'm meant to get the crowds riled up, get the ideas started, and then other people execute it.
Well, then how do I play into this as a manifesting generator?
Well, right now, you are helping me figure out how to do a podcast without even knowing. So you are already playing your role. I'm like, okay, I really want to do a podcast. Okay, well, I actually was looking into Riverside, but I feel like it's a little pricey because I just do it on Anchor, well, which now is Spotify. But if I was going to obviously do this like you're doing it like this often, then yeah, I would obviously put the money into it, but I hadn't tried it. So here we go. And I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty nice. Maybe I will start this and I will invest in it.
Riverside's the best.
Are you sponsored by them?
Riverside's the best. It does like editing and post. I'm affiliated with them, but I barely plug their stuff. I don't even know if I have their links anywhere.
So
yeah, okay. Well, maybe I should. Maybe I'm gonna have to put my links in the bottom of this podcast now. But honestly, just like from like the editing, like whenever you clip it, and they do good with clips. They do good with like sizing, editing the audio levels, getting rid of background noise. It's solid.
Okay, well, so is that why when I scheduled, it was like you need to have headphones, you need to have a microphone? Is that because of Riverside?
Oh, I wrote all that. I mean, but it just helps with the experience and everything. Some of the
Okay.
stuffs are Riverside specific, but most of that was just me making sure that you have the best experience, so I have the best experience, so the audience has the best experience.
And has anybody been like, oh, I actually don't have that stuff, and then you just can't do it? Or do you still do it?
Usually everyone's pretty good. I mean, it's not like the end of the world if you don't have headphones, if that's what you're saying.
Oh, well, I think you also mentioned a microphone. Or do you just, would you do this one? Like a headphone microphone?
Honestly, that one's pretty good. Well, it's difficult with the earpiece and then the mic, like with the
Mm-hmm.
earpiece. For some reason, it like if it's the same like audio line, Riverside has a tough time with it. But I mean, I've had people who have used their laptop microphone, and again, I think that their built-in, tuning or whatever it's called, does a great job of kind of pulling out any of the background noises, and really like it also like will level the audio. So like if I'm talking real loud and then you're quiet, it'll like level off our audio whenever it comes out post production.
Oh, thank God, because I am loud. So it's going to calm me down a little bit.
You're
um,
doing perfect. Everything's
okay.
going well.
So, what were you asking? Okay. The
So you're out of the
legalities. Oh,
litigation.
yeah. So, I really just gave people um, like the drive and I took the fear out of it. I took the fear out of speaking up, that so many people were scared to do. And so many people are like, thank
Ooh.
you so much for speaking up, because like I can't do it because this is the only restaurant in my town. And yeah, like some people, that is the only place. Like they didn't have a car, they were walking to work, they have a kid. And it's like, they like, I really cannot afford to lose this job. And I could afford to lose jobs. So I didn't give a fuck. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to be the voice for the people that can't do this, because I don't have a kid and I have a car and I have these things where I can afford to do this. So I'm going to do it. And then on top of that, like, I just really had faith. I was like, okay, come at me. Come at me, bro. Like, I got the receipts, and I really did have all
Yeah.
the receipts, and I still got them. I still got voice notes of people that have called me and told me things like, I'm like, I got everything. Like, come to me. So, but I'm
Mm.
not involved in them. I just got like the groups started, and I just connected everybody. That's kind of like, it is in my birth chart that I'm just going to be connecting a lot of people throughout the world and stuff. So, I just got that started. And
That's
I'm like,
cool.
okay, on to the next mission. And then that's how we landed on The World Ended in 2020. This is my merch available in alexserves.com. On April 4th,
I got the
it's,
shirt.
yeah, the shirt. It says The World Ended in 20. One of my necklaces. The World Ended in 2020. Are you awake? Embrace
Get a
the
little closer
shift.
to the mic.
Oh, sorry. It says the world ended in 2020. Are you awake? Embrace the shift. Crumble capitalism. Question everything. Nothing is what it seems. And it has my podcast at the top. Alex Serves It All is my
Looks like a
podcast.
newspaper.
Yes, it's supposed to be like a newspaper clipping. Hold on.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Everyone
Uh,
watching can get a nice view of it.
It says time is an
Time is an
illusion.
illusion.
I have a shirt that it says time is an illusion. I have merch. This is not the only one, but I really like this one because I was like, this is what
It's
started me
pretty
on this
cool.
whole consciousness journey. So I was like, let me wear this one today. On April 4th of 2022, I posted the video about how Ethiopia is 8 years behind the US because of their calendar. And so um I had seen a TikTok that was talking about how Ethiopia was supposed to have 13 months, and because they have 13 months, and because we have 12 months, they're 8 years behind us. And I was like, "Oh my god, this is so trippy." Like, I had no idea, because I never left the country or learned this in school, that other countries had other calendars and we're living in other years. I'm like, "Wait, we are time traveling already. We're time traveling." Like, you could go to Ethiopia and you're 8 years behind now. And so I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, I didn't know about all
Whoa.
this stuff. Isn't that trippy to think about? Like, there's countries where it's
Yeah,
like
talk
the
about
fifth.
time being an illusion.
Yeah, it's like you go to countries and like there's like the 1500s over there, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is
Mm.
crazy. And so I was like, if people just look at it that way, like, it's not real. And so I had messaged a friend at the time, and I was like, oh my god, did you know about this? Because she was doing conspiracy videos at the time, and she was like, no. And so she took the date of December 31st, December 31st, 2019, right before COVID hit, right? December 31st, 2019. She put that into a calculator and then converted that into what would that be on the Ethiopian calendar? Actually, she did this the other way. She did not do that date first. She did the Mayan. You know how the Mayans said that the world was going to end December 12th, 20 or December 21st, 2012? Okay, so she took
Yeah.
you know that, right? So she took that date.
Yeah.
She took that date into the Ethiopian calendar and converted it to see what date that would be for us. And it equaled December 31st, 2019. So I was like, oh my God. So the world did end in 2020. So the Mayans were right. It's just that in the 1500s, Julius Caesar changed our calendar, took out, we changed from 13 months to 12 months, took out weeks in October, changed this whole history of our calendar. And so like this is why this is why we have to follow astrologically. We have to follow the planets and the stars
Okay.
because the calendars are all wrong. In the 1500s, the calendar was changed to the Julian calendar, to the Gregorian calendar. Something about Julian. There's so many calendars.
Yeah, I'm looking this up right now. Calendartruth.info. I don't know if this is a legitimate site or not. Well, what they're saying here, the 13-month, 28-day alternative calendar has been in use on this planet for more than 6,000 years. In prehistoric India and China and throughout South America, it was the standard timekeeping system. The Essenes, Egyptians, Polynesians, Maya, Inca, Lakota, and Cherokee used a 13-month, 28-day calendar. The Celtic knowledge of the Druids is based on the tree calendar, also a 13-month, 28-day calendar. Today, many cultures are still using their traditional 13-month calendar system. Has a cool picture of a turtle here with I'm sure there's some symbology there. The past. All indigenous peoples of the earth know and respect the wisdom and power of the turtle. Oh, within the turtle's shell is the knowledge of time and the wisdom of the 13 moons.
Yes.
Turtle's wisdom is the power of cosmic knowledge. 13 scales make up the back of a turtle's shell. Whoa. It takes
Mm-hmm.
13 moons for Earth to go around the sun just once. Among the indigenous peoples of North America, Earth is known as Turtle Island. Whoa. Okay.
You didn't know about Turtle
To
Island?
remember that Earth is, I've never heard Turtle Island as a
Oh my
phrase
gosh.
before,
No.
especially as America,
Oh
North
yeah.
America.
Isn't that
Let's keep,
crazy, dude?
I need to keep going with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is sick.
Yeah, it's so
Uh,
cool.
to remember that, Earth is Turtle Island. Oh, okay. So to remember that Earth is Turtle Island is to remember the way of the Earth guided by the cosmic power of 13 moons. In the original time, Turtle's wisdom was known by every child of the Earth. Every child knew that 13 moons is the path to walk. It is the path of life that needs no explaining. After the original time came the seeds and the planting. Oh, okay. Is this kind of like this might be like more of a bit like a story, like almost like a mythology then?
So it's kind of like the
After the
story.
original time came, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's similar like the story of Atlantis, where like some people don't believe it was real or not. I think like more people believe now that Atlantis was real than Turtle Island. But I think Turtle Island is one of those stories that's like it's like a like you don't know if it was real or not. But I think yeah. I think it was a story that was told just like Atlantis or the Bible or whatever. Like there's so many stories that were told that some people believed in, and that could be the name that some um some people gave it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a story to some people, like
Sure. Yeah,
a
yeah,
group of
yeah.
people.
It
Yeah.
was kind of like a story to mystify the things that they couldn't really put into words.
But
So
what
here,
is
I'll
that?
let me keep going with this then.
Okay.
Let me keep, you go ahead. You have a question?
I was gonna ask there's a Disney movie that came out recently, of like the aliens showing up and then he's like traveling through and then it ends up that they're like on a turtle. And I was like, I think Disney's telling us we are Turtle Island. It was just
I
really
don't know that
recent.
one.
It was like one of their newest ones. I can't remember what it's called.
What's crazy in what I'm thinking of is in Avatar: The Last Airbender. They go back and see that turtles actually gave the power of airbending to people. So that was kind of a crazy conundrum there.
Everything is connected.
Everything's connected.
It's
All right,
so
let me keep
cool.
going with this Turtle Island story. Yeah, this is
Mhm.
fascinating. After the original time, so like after the time of the turtle, I guess, after the original time came the seeds and the planting. Then came the sword and the forgetting. During the last 400 years, the indigenous peoples of the planet retreated deeper into the forest, the wilderness, the jungle. Wherever they went, they were followed by the machine and the 12-month calendar of colonialism. Deprived of their own, the indigenous people were forced into the false time of the machine. Quote, on okay, on October 12th, AD 1492, Christopher Columbus arrived in the New World, end quote, like the new worlds in quotes. The
Mhm.
hopes of the Maya, the Hopi, and all indigenous people, not only of the Americas, but of the entire planet, were thoroughly shattered and destroyed. Genocide, enslavement, and colonialism were the indigenous people's reward. Never had the knowledge of a high civilization been so intentionally desecrated and destroyed as was that of the Maya. The Maya. In one single act of conquest, humanity was deprived of the gift of the knowledge of time. By 1583, the Catholic Church instilled its, quote, reform, quote, of time known as the Gregorian calendar. Simultaneously to the proclamation of the Gregorian calendar was the development of mechanized time, the basis of all machine technology. Instead of the 1320 galactic frequency of time, the
Mm.
planet was bequeathed with the 1260, so 12-month year, 60-minute hours.
What was it
60-minute
before?
hours. So 12 months a year, 60 minutes. It says 1320. 1320 was the
1320.
galactic frequency of time.
Oh my god, I didn't know about that. So that means that there was
Let me search that. So
13
13 months and then
months,
20 minutes of
20.
hours.
That would literally make so much sense
Let me
as
look
to
this
why
up.
time is going by so fast right now, because it would
All
mean
right.
that,
Let me see here. We're going down a wild rabbit hole here.
oh, we
I
are
just got to say
finding more shit
that.
out. This is going to be my next viral video. I'll be like, guys, it actually is supposed to be 13 months and 20 minutes per hour. So we should not be working 8 hours a day
Yeah.
at 60 minutes. We should be working like literally nothing, actually.
Oh, okay. This is a whole website dedicated to it. So they've probably done some deep research. So it's called lawoftime.org.
Oh my
Then I'm
gosh.
reading fund slash info booth slash 1260 and 1320. So let me make this a little bit bigger so I can read this. The title of it is 1260 and 1320.
Hmm.
It is simple to understand the 1260 and 1320 timing frequencies. In the 1260 frequency, people are ruled by the clock and money. The deadening, quote, daily grind, quote, takes precedence over spiritual purpose. In the 1260 frequency, time is money. Oh my gosh, I'm getting chills.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1320 frequency, can you guess what time is? Time is,
Is it what, 13 months and 20 minutes? Is that where we're right? Or
well, so I want to see if you can guess
oh,
this.
you're
And if
saying time
you're
is
listening,
energy.
you guys can
Time is
try play
energy?
us along. So 1260 time is money.
Mm-hmm.
1320 time is, do you want to
Not
guess?
well, I was guessing energy, but time is an illusion. Time is not real. Time is a construct.
Time is art.
Art. Oh,
Time is
I love that.
art.
Oh, I love that because I've
Time is
literally been like,
art.
I really have to get back into my art. I've literally been telling my followers, I'm like, I have to get back to my creative side. I'm not creating enough. Like, I create enough content,
Ah,
but I'm like, I need to get back to my creative stuff. But oh my God, that's amazing. That makes so much sense. That this is such in alignment with this shift of the age of Aquarius. It really is. This is so exciting. Oh my God. You have to send me that.
yeah. So in the 1320 frequency, people are ruled by their heart, nature, and art, and guided by
No.
dreams and synchronicity.
Yes.
Spiritual cultivation is the number one goal. In the 1320 frequency, synchronicity is the norm. Oh, I'm so down for synchronicity being the norm.
Yes.
Everything is always in perfect order. Everything is always on time. Everything is always new. Each day is a cosmic unfoldment.
I love this. I love this discovery that we're finding here. Look at that. The
All right,
universe.
here. Let me read this whole quote by Jose Arguelles. Maybe I won't read the whole one, but I think at least this first paragraph looks interesting. The essence of the discovery of the timing frequency is a simple one. the 1260 refers to an unconsciously accepted order of time that is artificial in nature. 12 refers to the codification of daily time into an irregular and arbitrary calendar of 12 months. Originated in Babylonia, the final historical form of the 12-month system was instituted in 1583 by the Vatican as the Gregorian calendar, which is now accepted as the standard in use worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
60 refers to the equally arbitrary division of the day into 24, 12 times or 2 times 12 hours of 60 minutes each. They made that more difficult than it had to be. The day into 24 hours of 60 minutes each. The result of the 1260 is the creation of a timing frequency whose mental field or consciousness is dominated by mechanization, and the third dimensional science of space matter. Unconscious acceptance of this 1260 timing frequency is the single most contributing factor to the problem of human annihilation from nature. Never mind. Hold on. I fucked that up. Unconscious acceptance of this 1260 timing frequency is the single most contributing factor to the problem of human alienation from nature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and it goes further. Oh my gosh. All right, this will be the last paragraph. All right, the timing frequency discovery further demonstrates that the division of the solar year into 12 periods or months is an arbitrary one based on divisions of the cycle, a construct of the geometry of space into 12 parts of 30 degrees or days each. Yeah, it's a division of geometry, right? So it's a division of the space. From the outset, the stream of civilization originating in Mesopotamia was rooted in space, and what it thought to be time was only a measure of space. Oh, holy shit! Oh my god! So we're literally measuring time using space as opposed to. Okay. All right, I gotta finish this so we can talk about it. The antecedents. I feel like I'm not pronouncing that right. The antecedents of the Gregorian antecedents. Antecedents. I think that's the word. Antecedents. The antecedents of the Gregorian calendar find their origin in Egypt and Babylonia circa 3000 BC, at which time the spatial geometry of the circle arose. The timing of this occurrence in the Middle East corresponds closely to the Mayan timing frequency, which describes a 5,126 year, quote, great cycle, beginning in 3113 BC and ending in AD 2013. Which would be what you're talking about here, which is the Mayan timing frequency. So this brings us full circle into what you're talking about as like, so this was the thing essentially that got disrupted whenever, quote unquote, the world ended.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically this disruption of us using space to create time.
Right. And we created a tesseract by what I believe is I'm going to tell you my theory on COVID. My theory is that COVID was coronal mass.
You said tesseract. What real quick, what are you saying about the tesseract? We created one?
I believe that we created a tesseract. Well, that's what I have to get into that. I believe that COVID is actually coronal mass ejections that were emitted from the sun that activated our DNA. So we have only 2 strands of DNA activated when we should have 12 strands of DNA, actually maybe even 13 strands of DNA activated. So I believe that when COVID hit, all these, like, I believe COVID is signs of ascension. I believe that everybody getting sick and the people that passed just chose not to be here for this major shift because with our frequencies rising, Mama Gaia's frequencies rising, so many people that awakened in 2020 because so much happened in 2020 that shifted this whole like paradigm. I believe that that is how we created a tesseract where we jumped in time. We jumped in space and time because like if you follow the Schumann resonance, it tracks the solar flares from the sun and it has been off the charts. Like it has never been as high as it's been. It's never done the design. Like, it is insane because the Earth is ascending. The people are ascending. We are shifting through like the solar systems. We're seeing other planets. We're seeing 2 moons. We're seeing 2 suns. Like, it's insane out there. But it's because we jumped in space and time. We became aware of what was happening. And once we became aware, we sped up the timelines. So I don't know if you've heard of the Looking Glass. Have you heard of Project Looking Glass?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I have, but I'm not consciously remembering what it was about.
So Project Looking Glass was like it's talks about in the military. Oh my god, this is like such a I'm going to try to do this fast. Okay, so in 1981, the US military was in, I believe, I want to say Pakistan, and they found this thing called the Looking Glass. Now, I'm not going to get into more of my theory, so we're going to go with this story. Okay, this is the story behind the Looking Glass. This Looking Glass was actually like a crystal. Now, way back when it was Samaria, I think the land of Samaria is now Pakistan. I think. I'm not sure if that's the same thing. I have no idea. Don't test me on geography. But the Sumerians had 6-dimensional beings with them way back, our ancestors, right? And these 6-dimensional beings had left the Sumerians this crystal that could essentially see the future so that they could be prepared when they were going to go to war. So that when they knew that their opponents were coming, they could look into this looking glass, see when they were coming, and then alert the people. The problem is that back then, they didn't have the technology we have now. So obviously, word did not spread fast enough and Samaria gets wiped out. This looking glass, this crystal stays in those lands. In 1981, the US military goes to these lands again and they find this looking glass. Now, what we know that Dolores Cannon talks about 3 waves of volunteers. I do believe that the people that found the looking glass were part of the 3 waves of volunteers, came to find this looking glass. They turned it over to their whatever, their generals or whatever, their people. Then they take it. This looking glass is like a part of this land and we steal it. America, our military steals it. Then the elite have it. Okay, so the elite have it, and then the elite are trying to figure out how to get this looking glass to work. The only way that you can get this looking glass to work is to have a higher dimensional being stand in front of it. So they had to find someone who was vibrating at a 4th dimensional frequency, and then they get it to view things and to start seeing the future. So this looking glass can apparently see into the future timelines, and this is why everything has already been predicted. This is why The Simpsons can predict everything that's coming. This is why the government knows which way it's going to go, because it has a looking glass, this technology from ancient times ago that can literally see the future. Now, we also have the theory that the elite are like these higher dimensional beings as well, like reptilian, draconian, Orion, whatever you want to call it, that knew what was going to happen and know how to manipulate the masses because they've done it in so many other planets and have destroyed so many planets, and they just wanted to take this one over again. But the problem with the looking glass, which people in the military have come forward and have said, the problem with the looking glass is that it cannot see past 2030. So the looking glass, all of the timelines end at 2030. And so the theory is that humanity would awaken by 2030. Therefore, their plans would no longer work. So what my theory is that they knew that astrologically, all of this was meant to happen because we are shifting from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius, that humanity, the species would start awakening, that these codes, light codes would start coming in, activating our DNA, starseeds would start remembering their mission, everyone would start getting activated, the veil would start coming off. So then they spread fear among the masses and globally, saying that it was COVID and that people are dying. Yes, it happened. But it's what perception are you going to believe? Like, are you going to believe that people are dying because it's this like super viral, just whatever, contagious? Or are you just going to believe that it's some people are not vibrating at a high enough frequency to sustain and last this, this whatever COVID was? But if you look at it in a way of when you're like, you're activating your, when you are activating your chakras, you start having these symptoms like, oh my God, my third eye is opening up. I have the freaking migraine. My stomach hurts. I'm purging because I'm working on my solar plexus. Okay. So think of that as like, that's what COVID was. Like, it was upgrading you. It was activating so much of your DNA that had been suppressed for so long. And some people just chose to tap out during these last 3 years. They were like, that's where I'm going to go. Like we all have a soul contract. And I think some people were just like, hey, I'm good tapping out here. And they can do more work from the spiritual realm than in the physical realm, especially if they were too weak, like people like that couldn't make it. So they're like, I will go over to the spiritual realm and I will help with the shift from the spiritual realm. And right now we're in this like blurred lines where we're shifting from this like dimensions where we can start seeing the spiritual, we're seeing the physical, we're merging everything. Everything is coming into one. So that's why we're starting to see people are seeing fairies, people are seeing aliens, people are seeing so much because they're open to it. But COVID was like just to keep people in fear. And then, but it was all part of the plan. I believe TikTok was a part of the plan. I believe that's why TikTok blew up during COVID, because it's like TikTok round the clock. Like, hello, wake up. It was meant to connect us globally because America was so asleep in like what was going on in other countries. We think we're the best, but like we don't have any health care. We don't have this. We don't have that. They treat us like shit. We don't get vacation days. Like when you start seeing how other people across whatever borders are living, you're like, okay, why can't I vacation? I can't vacation because I can't afford to live. I can't have like literally two parents have to work. Like, no, there's no way. They wanted to keep us so enslaved by capitalism that it wasn't until TikTok came around that we all started communicating with each other, that realizing like, oh my God, I'm not as free as I thought I was. And then this is where the revolution started. I believe that what TikTok was made for was for the revolution of this generation of human beings that are here now to stand up and see what really was happening. And because TikTok, we use technology to our advantage instead of letting it you could have taken two routes. You could have taken this route, the consciousness route, or you could have taken the I'm gonna get my bag and I'm gonna do whatever I want and like, not give a fuck, right? And those people that chose that route of like, I'm gonna get my bag, like things aren't going super great for them because their worth is in material things and in money. And then the people who are like, you know what, I will be okay without the money for now because I'm on this journey for myself. I'm going to do the healing work. I'm going to do the trauma. They're the ones now that are going to get literally everything that they have been working for because they showed the universe, like, I'm ready for this. I'm ready to accept. And you don't even have to work. I don't think money is even going to be a factor in this anymore. I think money's going to end up going away because the 1320, like, it's art. Art is what is going to be like, it's just, this is insane. Everything lines
That's
up.
so wild.
And so I think that we shifted the timeline up instead of 2030. I think that this is why so much is happening in the last year is because we jumped forward in timelines. We created a tesseract. We created a space, a blip in a break in space and time. And now we're here. So I think this is happening quicker than any being in the galaxies or cosmos or any being on Earth ever thought this would happen. I think this is such a monumental time in history that like we chose to be here. It's insane. It's literally insane. We're so much further ahead than we give ourselves credit for because everyone thinks like we have to go through so much to get there. It's like, no, we have it in us already. Just remember. All you have to do is remember. You don't have to, oh, I got to do this. Just remember. Just do the work to remember. Remember. And it literally, and then have faith. And then the problem is that majority rules. And if the majority doesn't believe, then it won't happen. But if we all believe, then we shift the frequency and then we make our beliefs happen because majority rules. So this is why I talk about the shit I talk about because I'm like, and I went viral when I did. My video has 35 million views on it because this was meant to happen. And my spirit guides told me this happened because you were meant to go viral at this time because it is time. It is time. And I didn't know anything. I got a Akashic record reading done. And before I went viral, they told me. I was like, what is happening? So this is why I never stopped. I got so bullied and my page got taken down. Everybody thought I was going through psychosis, schizophrenia, that I needed to kill myself. Like there was so much. And I was like, these people don't understand that like I have gotten so much confirmation from so many different sources that is not just my head, just people telling me, reading my birth chart, doing my gene key readings. Like I was doing so much that I was like, I'm not crazy. Like this is legit. This is happening. This is happening. And I need to keep talking because I understand now, like this is the reason I went viral and I just have to keep going and just keep going and not let anybody tell me no because you're the only person stopping yourself. You're the only person saying no. You're the only person. That's it.
I mean, you literally took down a restaurant chain.
Yeah. I know. I'm crazy.
You want to get the calendar changed while you're at it? It sounds like
Actually,
that's the next thing on your docket.
yes. I think the calendar, I don't know. I do have a video about how they were planning on changing the calendar again. And I made a video and everybody's like, no, we're not changing the calendar again. And I was like, well, we could just get rid of the calendar.
Sounds like you need to push it. We got to get that
Well,
1320. Who's going to do it? I
I
feel
know.
like it's you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well,
That's what I feel like. Is you're the one who's going to cultivate that to happen.
Oh, this is I'm like, all
You're
right,
going to be
guys,
that
I'm
spark.
back. I am
You're
because
that
I
spark
already
that's going
have
to get
my
the whole
time.
1320 thing happening.
Yeah, I'm already doing it, like, just by being myself. Now I just got to get everybody on board. I literally collect calendars. I have been writing in my calendar since I was in 6th grade, everything that I do every day. And I also have clocks on my wall because, like, I've always been into, like, clocks and calendars. And I'm like, oh, this is my mission. Like, I meant to kill the perception of time for people because time is not real. It really is not.
Yep. Yeah.
I know.
Talk to the guys about making this video. I want to see a 40 million view video about why we should shift to the 1320 frequency of time.
I know.
I'm ready for it. I think you got it in you.
Well, I'm already doing it.
I think you got it in you.
I'm already doing it. This is the problem, is that people think that it can't happen yet. Like, no, more things have to happen. Why? Just jump into it. Skip ahead. Like, people think like, oh, I have to. This is what a tesseract is. So instead of you going across the bridge, I keep hitting the mic. If instead of you going across the bridge from point A to point B, you literally do this. Damn it. I'm sorry. You literally just do this. And then you just create a tesseract.
Get yourself
and
a mic stand.
I know. Well, I actually do have a mic stand. But I just keep hitting it.
It needs to be a bigger one.
But you literally just go boop. And so you brought it to you. So that's what we're doing right now is we're just bringing all of this to us. And like, this is why all the planets are aligned. The poles shifted. I mean, it's happening. It's already here. We're the only ones thinking it's not here yet. We're the only ones prolonging the inevitable. It already happened. Just live like it already happened. Like, I'm like, we're not going to pay taxes. We're not going to pay taxes. Yeah, I'm not paying taxes because I haven't literally made any money off I haven't made any money off like what I'm doing for a year. I'm just like, what am I going to do? I can't claim anything. Be
careful about saying that on a podcast.
No, because I'm like, I'm saying like, I do believe that taxes will eventually go away because like, why are we paying taxes? Like, what are they using that money for? Weird shit. So
they can just print out the money they want. My big thing is they can print all the money they want. So why do they pay taxes?
Well, this is the thing that really gets people down is debt. People are like, oh my God, I have debt. And I'm like, debt is not real. Debt was invented in 1989. The country is $33 trillion in debt, and the stocks are just trading debt. So you are you're stressing out over numbers in a computer that are not real. If every single person paid off all of their student loans, we would have no money in circulation right now. So it benefits everybody to be in debt than just be in debt. I mean, I'm not in debt. Well, I am student loan debt, but I actually paid $15,000. I paid $15,000 for a student loan. I paid $20,000 on a $15,000 student loan, and they still want me to pay $15,000 on interest. And I'm like, that's between you and God, baby. Not doing that. Because I'm like, I already paid $15,000. Y'all are insane. Like, why is the interest rate so fucking high? So they really just fucked millennials over on that shit. So at this point, the country and everything is going to shit. Just live your life. Live your best life. Like, have fun. Who cares?
Time is art. Time is art.
Do you understand that like millionaires and billionaires don't actually have that money like in hand? Like, they literally just have, it's like fake money. It's just fake money that they're just using. Like, why are we they literally gaslit us to believe that.
It's usually in companies. It's usually in companies. But yeah, to your point, most people think that they're just sitting on billions of dollars.
Yeah, like they're not, it's not tangible. I mean, it's not tangible like actual dollars. It's tangible in other things or whatever. Anyways, we really have to just stop caring about money. Like the 1260 thing, that's what it is. We're worshiping money. So right now our God is money, and we got to get over that.
Well, I think then the question becomes is how do we shift into a 1320 frequency, right? Like how do we shift time into that?
You start with yourself.
Start embodying the 1320.
Well, you start with yourself, and a lot of people already are. Like, you're doing it by having, this you right now are working for yourself. You're not clocking in, clocking out for someone else. You have to start with yourself, like
True.
essentially unplugging from the matrix. So it's okay, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to start my own business. Yeah, we still have bills to pay, but eventually, I literally was telling my sister, I'm like, eventually the people will retaliate. Like, because we're all people and we're noticing that this is literally insane, like the economy we're living in and the inflation. And eventually people are just going to retaliate, or we're just going to stop caring about money because it's like, okay, well, whatever. Like, and then you start your art, like you make your own business out of your art, and then you just stop caring about, like, I'm like, I haven't had a job for a year. I'm like, how are people how are people still clocking in and out to normal jobs? It's crazy to me.
It's got to be difficult. It's got to be difficult. It is an interesting thing you bring up though about like money, because I know me personally, it was kind of like a big thing that I was dealing with, if you will, which was the fear of not having enough money to support running this podcast. And it came to this point where I had all this money saved up from my job, and I started approaching the end of it literally like last week or like a week and a half ago. And I had this meditation slash conversation, if you will, with God. And I was basically like, look, I don't know what's going on here. I'm going to start going into debt soon. Like, if this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing, fucking pull me out of it, basically. And I got a ping, like kind of like this internal notification, if you will, that I was supposed to buy the mic that you see here now and buy all this kind of like integrated software that came out to enough money that was going to kind of put me behind the eight ball. And as I bought that, the next 2 days were filled with somebody came up to me or someone emailed me about wanting to work with me one-on-one as a mentor, which I don't even offer. I had then a second person email me about it 2 days later. I had this thing with my gym. I train jujitsu, and I've been trying to be a coach there for like the last 4 months. And in the last week, I've already taught twice, and everything just unfolded so quickly. Like I
Yeah.
met the guy who was actually doing it. Like I had the right intel. And so all of this to say, right, it's very much just taking care of itself as long as I just show up, keep recording. And I suppose there's something with spending money at least a little bit wisely.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like at least
Mhm.
not just fucking buying lottery tickets, like $1,000 worth of lottery tickets. I'm actually like buying shit to help my voice get out there, help
Mhm.
this podcast grow. It's higher quality. You know what I mean? As opposed
Mhm.
to, oh, here's $1 million in lottery tickets. I'll just take that in, I'll take the debt in that. It's like, no, that's not how you should be utilizing that
Right.
energy.
No, yeah, I
It's
agree.
really crazy. It's
I
really been crazy.
No, but that's literally what I just said, where I was like, where you show the universe that you're down for it, and the
Yeah.
universe will just like match your energy. And that's literally like, when I'm like, you guys enjoy life, it's like, okay, take the vacation. Like, what are you waiting for? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'll take it when you retire. Well, are you ever going to retire? I mean, let's be for real. Like, if you're going to keep down this road, take the trip. Go to the restaurant, buy the thing you want. Obviously, I mean, we're adults here. I shouldn't have to tell people to spend responsibly. Like, come on, like use your head. But it's true. Like when you just put it out there, like I was like shopping the other day and I was like, me shop? I hate shopping. But it was like I got this energy of like go spend money so that I can make money, because I wasn't going out. I wasn't spending any money at all. And not because I was like, "Oh
Mm.
no, I need to save." I mean, yeah, I need to save, but I was like, but I just like I don't like to shop, and I haven't been going out to eat with anybody. I've just been at home cooking and just being by myself. And the universe was like, you have to get out and spend money because you need to get it back. And so I was like, okay. So I just went and like bought things, and I was like, I don't really need these things, but like the universe is telling me that I have to spend money right now to show that I'm not scared to spend it, and then it's gonna come back. And like the same thing happened to me. Somebody reached out and was like, oh, can we do a one-on-one? And I was like, I don't even offer that. And they're like, no, I literally saw it on your pages. And I was like, I don't. You must have looked into another timeline, but thank you. Now I'm going to start doing one-on-ones. And so then that got that started.
Love the synchronicity.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy.
Was this like a week ago? Did that happen to you like a week ago?
The first, I have, it's my pinned post on Instagram when I would literally was like, I have my first one-on-one. It wasn't a week ago, but it was like a couple weeks ago. Let me see what the date on it is.
I was just curious. It would have been crazy if it was like at the same exact time that
June 15th.
Like that person DM'd us. June 15th. Okay.
Yeah. And the person who DM'd me, her name was Genesis, and I was like, "Oh, girl, you are giving me a sign like Genesis. Like this is my new beginning."
No way.
Yeah, right. I was like, "Oh, girl, you just started a whole new thing for me."
No. Oh my gosh! If a sign was any louder,
for real,
if a sign could be any louder, it would be that.
Yeah, the universe is very loud with me. I love it. And then I get mad at listen. Well, I get mad at myself because I literally just watched a video of somebody on TikTok that was like me stressing over how am I going to switch? How am I going to, transfer my audience over to YouTube from TikTok? And then it's like a picture of his younger self being like, you have an audience? And I'm like, I have to remind myself of how far I've come because it's like we're constantly looking to like, what's next? What's the next goal? What's the next goal? It's like, can we enjoy the goal that like 3 years ago, I never thought I would have 1 million on TikTok. Like, what? And now I'm like, oh my God, what's next? Like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, I need to do. It's like, girl, can you enjoy the fact that like younger you, 2013 you, and the shit customers like say to servers never would have imagined that you would be here now. So like, why don't you give yourself a minute to enjoy the shit you've done instead of stressing about the next thing? Like, we never take a minute to just look back and be like, hey, you've done this. You will be okay. Like, okay, I did it. Right. Like, chill out.
That's so powerful anytime you're feeling depression or anxiety is to come back to like looking at the things that you've already accomplished in life and being like, oh, this is easier than all that. Well, what am I worried about? Like, there's nothing here for me to be feeling anxious or sorry about.
That's what I think about all the time. I think about like, I'm like, okay, I've already been through the hardest that it's going to get because I'm now aware. Now that I'm aware and I know how to navigate the situation and I know what choices I need to make because I've already made the mistake in the past. Like we said, nobody's perfect. Okay, I made the mistake in the past. Well, the situations will keep presenting themselves to you until you choose to make a different choice than the last time. So, like, your ex could keep coming back to you and you just keep going back to them until you finally say, okay, I'm not going to. You have to make the decision to move because the universe is going to keep like, well, I guess she likes that. So let's just keep sending her that until you say, no, I don't like that. And then you shift it. And so that's literally what it is. It's like, whenever I get sad or whatever, I'm like, okay, let's think about how far you have come. Like, never in my life I would think I would be doing any of this. Like, I always wanted to live in California. I was like, now I'm living in California. Like, I'm like, never did I think I would have no contact with my parents. Like, what? Who am I? I'm a whole different person. And it's like, I forget.
Where
like,
are you at in Cali?
San Diego.
Oh, no way. I lived there for 4 years. I love that
Oh my
place.
gosh, really?
Yeah. San Diego's sick.
Do you miss it?
Do you know, oh my gosh, you should, let me introduce you to, do you know who Erin Lyons is?
No.
Do you know who that is? You don't know who that is? That's okay if you don't know. I want to introduce you though. She just moved to San Diego.
What'd she do?
She was on the podcast, so you should check out that. You should check out episode 062, I think.
Oh, wait.
With Erin Lyons.
Is she the Asian girl?
No, she's African American.
Oh, I was looking at one of the girls you had on.
We talked about The Little Mermaid.
Ah, I love The Little Mermaid. She was my favorite.
062. She has a pretty dope perspective on it.
On what?
Because we were talking about like racism and on The Little Mermaid, the Black Little Mermaid.
Oh.
We were talking about if it was racist or not. She's super dope. I'll check out her stuff and let me know. I'll put you in contact.
Oh, here she is.
She does like channeling and light work.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think you guys would be a vibe together.
Oh, I love that.
Who's the connector now?
Yes,
who's the connector now?
Good. Doing your job as a generator. Good job. Fulfilling your role.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh, yeah. I did want to say I was looking at your Instagram because I was like, oh, let me look through some of like the podcast stuff or whatever. And I see you always are wearing, well, not always, but a lot of the clothes you're wearing these like orange sunglasses. And I was like, I feel like I should wear my sunglasses. Oh, yeah. So I do have my sunglasses because I was like, oh, in case he's wearing his sunglasses, I'm going to bring my sunglasses.
You wear them just in case?
Yeah, just in case. Because I was like, well, I got to match the vibe. Well,
I
I think
like it, but there's a portion of me whenever I watch videos back that it reflects too much. It reflects too much of the screen, so you can't see
oh, for
my eyes,
sure.
and so I feel like there's a level of like making you comfortable with it, and then making anybody who's watching it comfortable. Versus if you're just getting like the pure reflection, you're gonna be like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" So
Well, what was
I made a
your
business decision.
what was your business decision before? Like, why did you have them on?
Oh, they're blue light blockers.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you were just like, they're just
Yeah,
cool.
and well, that too. It was a
And
combination of both.
that's what you're gonna
I got a
say. You're
lot of
like, and I think
compliments.
they're cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's
There was a
better to
practical and then there
not.
was an emotional.
Yeah. Well, I think it's better to not have them on because yeah, it
Yeah,
does reflect and it does hide.
I put I put a ton I put a ton of research into finding or trying to find like anti-glare cream or an anti-glare version of those glasses because like if I could wear those and you could see my eyes, I would probably still be wearing them, but just it was too much reflection from like the ring light and the screen where I was just like I just can't I couldn't find anything. So anybody listening, if you can find a pair of aviators that are orange tint with blue light blockers and anti-glare, hit me up. I'll pay top dollar for them.
Oh, you're like, I
It's a
really want to
quick
wear
plug for
these.
myself.
I just really
Yeah.
want to wear them on my podcast.
Yeah. If there's any sunglass creators listening to this podcast, that one's for
That's
you.
funny.
Or for me. I guess for both of us.
Yeah.
Mutual creation.
Reach out. Sponsor me.
No, sponsor. I will sponsor. I will sponsor your sunglasses.
Yeah.
And it'll cost you just one pair. But yeah, I think I want to get back to that 1320 thing because
Mm-hmm.
because that's really how I've been viewing life. I highly recommend, if you haven't heard of Rick Rubin, I've been diving into so much of his stuff. He created like he was a producer on a bunch of very, very well-known music from
Mm.
like the Strokes to Dr. Dre. I don't know if he worked with Dr. Dre. Let me take that back to like to Kanye. I think he's worked with just very well-known musicians, and he's so much like in this creative energy of like trying new things, and he's got a book that's so great. And I'm bringing this all up because like we just discovered that we're shifting into time is art. I've been pursuing so much more just like I need to just create stuff. Like don't worry about money, just start creating stuff. Just
Exactly.
create stuff, put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Create stuff, put it out there. All right,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. If it got one view, it doesn't matter. It needed to be created. All right, create stuff, put it out there. And it's so freeing, and it's so empowering. I've noticed that I just love it. I love that. I love that
Yeah.
feeling. And this is just resonating to my core that time is now art.
Yeah, and it really is all about letting go. Letting go and knowing that like exactly what that article said that like everything is happening exactly when it's supposed to happen. Everything is happening on time because time is an illusion. So you are not late to the game. You're like I'm 36. And I'm like when I was like 16, I was like, "Oh my god, I can't imagine being 36. Like that is so old." And now I'm like, I still feel like I'm 16 on the inside. Like I don't understand how people function as an adult. Like I'm like you have like kids that you have to take care of. Like you're responsible for other lives. Like I could not imagine. I'm like and now I'm like doing my, social media stuff and I'm like if people hear my age, they're like, "Oh my god, you're 36 and you're sitting here fucking doing social media stuff." And I'm like, yeah, who cares? Like, I don't want to follow the status quo. So I'm not like late to it. It's happening when it's supposed to happen. And had I blown up back in, 2012, like whenever that video went viral, like I probably would have said some very stupid shit on the internet because I don't think, I don't have a filter. So I just say whatever. And so I would have gotten canceled a million times. I mean, I get canceled every day here, but I don't let myself. You can't get canceled unless you let yourself get canceled. And so I'm like, man, but I'm glad because like I watch the YouTubers now. Like, I don't know if you've heard about the whole Colleen Ballinger drama that's going on. I don't know if you know anything about YouTubers.
I have not.
Well, anyways,
I
oh
mean,
my
not
god,
her, I guess. What's her name? How do you spell it?
Colleen Colleen Ballinger
Okay.
Ballinger. It is
Actually, I feel like I've read
messy.
that name before.
Yeah, it's going
I
viral
feel like
right
I've read
now.
that name before.
because allegations came up about her
Facing
sending
backlash.
inappropriate messages to minors.
Ooh, grooming.
And she's been on YouTube for so long, and I'm like, God, I'm just so glad that I wasn't like a part of
She's a
that crowd.
comedian. Yeah, that's
It's
always a tricky situation. That's
yeah.
weird though. She's super cute.
Yeah. Well, looks can be
That's
deceiving.
weird. That's fair. I don't judge a book by its cover, but I just feel like the man, the masculine male in me would say, "Hey, she's attractive. Why would she be going under grooming kids?" But obviously I don't know anything at all that I'm saying here. So
Well, it was pretty much that
that's
she
not
just
I'm not trying to catch myself in water here. I don't want to come across as like just because you're hot doesn't mean you can't groom. I'm trying to say that I feel like she wouldn't need to groom in order to
yeah,
be with a guy.
it's a
But
little it's not exactly the way you're thinking of. What happened is that she has this platform that she's had forever, and her main target is children because she has a character named Miranda Sings. And it's just like a very awkward character that like thinks she can sing but she can't sing. But Colleen, the real person, like yes, she can sing. But so her audience is a lot of young people. And so she just became close to her followers and would text. They'd be in group chats together, but these are minors at the time. And there were just text messages that were released now of her talking in these group chats, like asking these minors, like, what's your favorite sexual position? And like sending them underwear. And it was just like very weird things that
oh
she thought was funny, but like they're minors and you're like, she's my age. So it's like she was like in her 20s sending this stuff to
yeah,
minors. So it was very weird. And she didn't think that it was weird. Like, and she's like, and now she came up with this quote unquote apology video of her singing on a ukulele saying, like, I'm not going to apologize for the rumors that you're saying for clout. But there's like so much evidence of so many people coming forward of like, no, she literally was sending me these messages. We're not lying. And so it is just so messy right now. I'm like, oh my God, this is insanity.
yeah, yeah. I
It's
don't think
crazy.
because see, it's weird that the entity, whatever you want to call it, the person who tries to look for the best in people wants to say, "Oh, she's a comedian, so she's trying to be funny." But I think whenever kids get involved, it's
Mm-hmm.
you got to be treading very lightly there with whatever you're talking to them about. Doesn't matter if it's politics, doesn't matter if you think you're being funny, doesn't matter if it's the way you view the world. That's when you start talking to kids, you gotta tread very lightly, especially if you're 36 years old. And yeah, it looks like mental abuse. Yeah, obviously, I'm sure all these headlines are. I don't want to go read. I'm going to delete that so I don't read those headlines, because I don't know if they're going to be true or not. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think anything. I could see the defense of, oh, well, I'm a comedian, I'm trying to be funny, but when
Mm-hmm.
kids are involved, that's like a whole nother line that you're crossing.
Yeah, she just crossed a lot of boundaries. There's no like respect. And then she does a lot of live shows, and I guess she would like do things that people were like she had one girl lay on her stage and she was wearing a dress and like spread her legs open like on stage. It was very weird. She would do a lot of things that like she thought was funny, but like if you look at it from not a comedian standpoint of just like a person doing this to another person, it's like this is humiliating and weird. And this is like the thing that I was saying where I was like, comedians are really starting to cross the line where like they don't have boundaries. They're like, oh, it's a joke. But it's like, but the
Mm,
other person is humiliated by what you just did, you know? But then at the
I
time,
think it depends, right? It depends on if you're giving them permission. I think if you're like paying money, going to their show, yes. The tricky thing is though, is if you're like underage. I think
right,
that's where like, because you can't give permission when you're underage. So like
right.
if you're buying a ticket to someone's show and you know them, like you get the general gist of who they are, you're buying into it. You're literally paying money for them to roast you, especially if it's like
Mm-hmm.
a smaller club, especially if it's like that smaller intimate atmosphere. I mean, and you always have the option to get up and walk out. You can argue for your money back, whatever. But I definitely think if you're playing it into it, like if you're telling them, "Hey, I I already tried committing suicide," like you like in my opinion, you're giving them permission to make fun of you on that front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that in the moment, a lot of people like I think a lot of people in the moment are just like in that energy and are like, haha, it's so funny. And then like I think afterwards people start to look back and reflect and are like, okay, that was actually like kind of fucked up because like I actually did try to kill myself. Like, why would she tell me to kill myself? Like I actually really liked her as a comedian. And then she just like, and I get it that it was like part of the joke, but like, you know, when you meet someone, it's like your idol or whatever, your favorite star or whatever, and they're just like rude to you and you're like, damn, like I had such a different perception. Like I've been to comedy shows and you know, the comedy shows I've been to, the comedians didn't heckle the audience like that. Like they weren't rude like that and put them down. And so I'm like, I think there is a fine line of like, you know, you have to remember that these are also people. And like, yeah, it's comedy and it's fun, but like people laugh at the moment at the joke. And then when you're the butt of the joke and you go home and you think about it, and you're like, wow, I just got embarrassed by my favorite comedian, like telling me to kill myself. And I get that to her, it was just a joke and I'm just a face in the audience. But like, this was the person that I love listening to every day. And like, now I just have a whole different viewpoint of this person. You know what I'm saying? It's like when everybody found out about Ellen DeGeneres and how like she treats her staff, everyone's like, okay, she's actually not the kindest person like she claims to be. So it just changes your perception of people. It's like you're a character on stage, but then like how you're treating people also plays into it, you know? Like I think we should take
Well,
that into
I think
consideration.
the environment's very. I think the environment is really again. It's difficult because not being the person who was there or hearing it or being, you know, a part of it. But I think the environment's very important. You know, if it's employees, like your threshold for comedy and sexual nature gets dimmed very quickly, especially because
Mm-hmm.
we're now talking about people's livelihoods, because that can trigger that fear response, that can trigger people to close up, that can trigger people to pull back and not want to engage anymore in the workplace. And on the like, I don't know. I mean, I guess we can't know unless that girl were to say something along the lines of, yeah, I got really sad after, you know, this happened, which I don't know. I mean, because you could very easily make the argument like, oh yeah, my favorite comedian made fun of me. Like,
Right.
I could see that as being a very valid thing that someone would enjoy.
I know. I think it really is. This is why all truths, all everybody's truth is true. Like this is a topic of discussion right now because I think she made a video saying how she felt like it was insensitive for her to tell her to go kill herself, though she may have been like joking around at the moment. She was like she didn't like that. And so now it's like a topic of discussion that people are saying like, oh, this comedian should apologize and blah blah blah.
Mm.
And it's hard because you really can't please everybody. Like you say, like somebody could say that to you and you're like, haha, okay, I'm not going to take it to heart. Like it's like me, like people literally told me to kill myself and I'm just like, okay, no, like I don't know you. What the fuck? Like I don't care about your opinion. And so, but there are content creators who have killed themselves because of the bullying that goes on online. And so that it's hard. We really just have to take accountability ourselves. We really just have to look in the mirror and be like, okay, am I okay? Like, is this worth the joke? Like, I don't know if this person really has gone through something. Maybe I shouldn't make a joke about this, you know, like maybe it is a sensitive subject, like because it's just I don't know, and it depends. It depends, like, you know, like you said, if people I don't know if that's her comedy. I don't know what this comedian was. I don't know if this is the kind of thing she normally says. So I don't know if this person walked into it and then now is like, "Oh, I can't believe she would say that," you know, like knowing that that was her humor. So I think it's like you said, like there's no winning. There is no winning, and everybody has an opinion on everything. So really, you just gotta do whatever's best for you, to be honest. But when it comes to
Well,
children, like you said,
and
that is a
well, to finish
very
this thought real quick, because yeah, I mean, I think we're on the money with children. We can
Mhm.
leave the kids alone. Just leave kids alone. We'll be in a good spot. But I think with comedy too, it's a very fine line that they're dancing on, right?
Mhm.
You know, especially when it's stuff that's off the cuff. It's like I'm trying to be funny. That's my number one
Right.
goal here. And a huge element of being funny is grabbing things or elements that have truth within them and you giving a different perspective on the said truth. And again, I'm trying to avoid bringing it back to the specific example because I didn't see the clip. But I do think that there is a level of every comedian is trying to pull something out of, like they're trying to make an association between two ideas
Mhm.
that are so different if we were just to just blatantly talk about them, but they find like this little bridge that connects the two, and the craziness of that connection is what creates humor.
Right. No, I agree. And I'm like, again, I don't take really offense to things because I say offensive things. People get offended a lot by the things that come out of my mouth, even though I try to be respectful as much as I can. But people will just get offended. People just get offended over anything. But I don't know. I think it's because I was also watching another comedian, and she was just like going in on this guy about like what he was wearing, and she was just like, I can't believe you left the house like that, like this is just such an ugly outfit. Just kept going and going. I'm like, okay, we get it, you don't like his outfit. Like I don't know, I feel like it's kind of, in a way, it is bullying. Like, why are you like attacking this guy over the outfit? Like, now this guy's probably gonna have like I think you can do comedy and tell your jokes like about your life and your shit without like attacking the audience. And I think a lot of comedians like attack the audience. Like there was another guy who was like, she was like, "Oh, I was in the bathroom making sure I was like looking good for you." And he was like, "Well, look harder." And it's like, I think it's funny. Like it's a funny comeback.
But
But I'm also,
she might not. Yeah, she might
yeah,
not think
but she
that.
was probably like, damn, like, I think this guy's hot, like this comedian. And I was like trying to be flirty, and he's like, well, you're ugly, you know? And it's like, damn, like, I get it. I get the joke. But I'm like, damn, like we're mean to each other. We are all mean to each other.
Well, especially in the male atmosphere, especially being, raised in the society I was raised in, there's a huge emphasis on, becoming stronger as opposed to
Mm,
weakness,
mm,
which, if think about, I mean, and I can think of multiple situations of like nicknames people would get ascribed. And if they didn't like it, you kept making fun of them for it until they
mhm,
just let it go. Like once they
mhm,
stopped caring about the joke that you were making, it no longer held any energy. It was no longer funny. There was
mhm,
no more reason to call them it anymore. And
mhm.
I think it's that process of confronting that thing that you are the most afraid of and realizing that it's just not that important as you think it is. And I think
Right.
by doing that, right, this is so much is boiled into this, the process of letting go, the process of maturing, the process of maybe you got to let go of friends if they're pieces of shit. Like if you looked up this comedian, she's terrible. Yeah, maybe that's not someone you should look up to. And it
Right.
can trigger a lot of self introspection, but even more so, it makes you stronger as a person. And I like to think that, maybe not in all situations, but a lot of heckling situations, comedians are providing that service to people who may not have ever experienced that before. And,
Mhm.
I'm sure good and bad things happen because of that to and for the comedian or the person involved. But I think that's just a natural process of life that we have to be able to confront and come out stronger on the other side.
Well, I think it also relates to the thing where I was like, sometimes we need to be rejected. I think we really do need to be rejected through life because it leads us to our highest possible timeline. And sometimes people are just rude and annoying in the audience and deserve what they get because they won't shut up. So they're just giving it back to them. So it's like, okay, I get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I said, your own medicine. But I don't know. I just think like I've just been seeing things just like, on the internet. Like everything feels so extra right now. Like everything is like boiling over. And so sometimes I just watch comedy clips. I'm like, wow, I thought this was funny before, but like I just don't think it's funny anymore. Like it's just, I don't see the humor in making someone else feel like shit anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like I get that it's comedy sometimes, but why do we have to put others down for the joke? Like why can't we just tell our stories and be funny? But like, I don't know. I get it. We all
Well,
do it.
it could be a bad comedian. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
possibility that they're just a
that's
really
true
bad
too.
comedian. Like,
That's true too.
and
Because
their
I'm
only
like,
default to being funny is making fun of people.
right, right. And I think that's actually happens with a lot of people in general. I think a lot of people just put others down to lift themselves up. Just how humans are.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, for sure. And I think also with clips in general, specifically, you got to really make sure you're not taking them out of context. Because, like you're saying, that girl who was yelling at the guy for wearing a shirt or a bad shirt, maybe he was being a dick to his wife or something. Maybe he
Maybe.
was,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he was heckling her for the last 30 minutes and then she finally snapped. And now all you're
True.
seeing is that last little segment of it. So it's a very difficult situation if you're not there.
No, you're so right because I've had drama on the internet because people take my shit out of context and will play like one clip of me. Like there was this girl, her and I were going back and forth, and I was like, can you just stop? Like, you look like a bitch right now. And so it was like this whole thing for so long. And she took that one clip of me saying she was a bitch, and like it just was like all hell broke loose, and everybody came to attack me for calling her a bitch. And I'm like, you guys don't even know what happened. She was being a bitch. Like, you guys don't understand what happened. You don't know the whole story. And nobody would let me tell my side. So I was like, all right, well, that's the perception now they have of me, is like, oh, you're a bully. You called her a bitch. I'm like, okay. Nobody really cared about what happened. They just saw that clip. And so, yeah, you're right. Like, you do have to be there. But just for me, I'm really trying to work on not doing that. Like, not being, I could be mean. And so it's hard. This is a lot of work for me, a lot of growth, to not say the shit that I really want to say to people. I gotta be gotta be a little
Well,
bit of a
and good
bigger
for you.
person.
I mean, that energy can be directed in a much better and
Right.
useful way. You don't
No, but
have to be using it in a negative energy
it's
form.
exactly what you said. What did you just say about when you just don't give it life? Like, that's literally what it is. Like, we can be mean to each other and fight and all this, but it's like, it is such wasted energy that you can just take the energy, the energy that they gave you that you feel is negative, just transmute it into positive, and then it just makes you shine brighter. If you just, okay, whatever, dude, like, I really don't care about your opinion, and then you just ignore it, it hurts and it's hard to ignore. And I'm not saying let people walk all over you, because believe me, I don't. I stand up for myself. But at some point, like, when the whole internet is telling you to go kill yourself and like you're schizophrenic, at some point you just have to be like, all right, these people are just like, I don't even know if these people are real. This could be just a bot that TikTok created. I don't know. I'm just gonna ignore it. They just ignore it. Literally,
I've seen those before.
that's the
I've
thing that
seen those
really got me
before.
through. My sister was like, when you delete this app, these people don't exist. And I was like, oh, thank you for saying that. Because in my head, I'm thinking all these people are like, oh my God, these people, like, think of this of me. And like, there's 1 million people who are like, okay, if I delete the app, none of these people exist. I don't know these people in real life. I don't know. They could just be bots. And there was a
Yeah.
lawsuit from San Diego, that sued Facebook, Meta, Elon Musk, Google, like all this, for attempting to commit genocide on humanity by creating these bots that would be an echo chamber of, like, you've seen The Social Experiment on Netflix, I'm sure. Like, it was just that was
Oh
their
yeah.
plan. Their plan was to commit genocide on humanity by just bullying people on the internet for their opinions. So once I realized that and I saw there was proof of a lawsuit, I was like, okay, girl, you got to calm down. This is probably just bots. These are just bots and then I started
Well,
noticing the algorithm.
yeah, and that's essentially what ended up happening that they found out with Russia. Back whenever they were saying, "Oh, Trump colluded with Russia, Russia hacked the election 2016, blah 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 blah." Well, in actuality, what was happening was is that Russia was spinning up basically groups on Facebook, and I think mostly Facebook. Maybe there was other ones, but they created these groups where they were either super pro Trump, super pro Hillary, and they would find the meta talking points and then create these bot interactions. And what would happen is people would stumble across those Facebook groups, see all these other people having similar opinions to them, and then they would progressively make the bots become more radicalized. And since the other people were already invested in the group, it's like, oh, this is my group. Like, they're getting more radicalized. I'm going to get more radicalized.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what they kind of found, is that they just started propagating this radicalized nature through social media, which is one of if it wasn't so diabolical, it would be genius.
I know. Well, and that's why I say that we have to be aware. We have to use our discernment. And that's like what you said earlier, where you were like, I don't have to listen to everything that this person says. I could just take what resonates. Like, yeah, we have to do that with literally everything. We have to start thinking for ourselves. And the fact that now this information is out there, that they are creating these bots to keep you in this depression and keep you in this loop and keep you fighting, be aware of that. Don't fight. Don't fight with these people. It's like fighting over politics and religion, I think, is the dumbest thing you can do, because like people have their belief system, and unless somebody just wants to learn, there is no point. Like, people tell me all the time, like, I want to debate you. I'm like, no. And they're like, why? You don't think that you can handle it? I'm like, I can. It's just that you don't believe in the things and the proof that I'm going to give you. You don't believe it. You don't believe. So I can't have a debate with someone who doesn't believe in my evidence, because you're just going to dismiss it. You're just going to say that's not true. Like, that those are fake documents or that's doctored or something. So then, okay, then we're not having a debate. You just want to win. You just want to win and be right. And I'm saying, okay, well, this is where my point of view is coming from. And this is why I think this. Okay, well, you're just dumb. Like, okay, well, then we're not having a debate. You just want to argue. You just want to argue to be right. This is stupid. Unless somebody wants to learn and say, okay, can you teach me how? Okay, well, this is why, and this is where the theory comes from, and this is how I got here. They're like, oh, okay, thank you. Like, I appreciate you explaining that. That's a different conversation. But people just want to argue. And then it's like, if you're going to argue with me and bring things that I don't agree with, like I'm not going to believe everything that's in the Bible 100%, then this is not a debate, because I can't debate you when you believe that the ultimate truth is the Bible and I don't believe that the ultimate truth is the Bible. Then we're not on the same page. This doesn't make sense to talk about, because your belief system is 100% in this and mine is not. So your weapon of choice is like, it's not getting us anywhere. Like, there's a wall between us here. It's just, we're not going to break through. We're not going to break through. Yeah, there's no progress. It's literally just talking in circles of like, I'm right, you're wrong. Okay, just let it go.
Which is interesting at some level of, I mean, I guess it depends on what the conversation is, but being right about, I guess, factual items, especially the technology advancements that are occurring. Because if you take a look at anything, papers, videos, audio, all of that can now be doctored.
Exactly.
We are literally at the point where within, I mean, easily within a couple of years, maybe a year, I guess we're technically there, but hypothetically within a year, you will not be able to trust one piece of thing on the internet, because technology will be so good. Anybody's voice, anybody's picture, a video of anybody, a written word, a document that supposedly came from the CIA could have been created in an AI generated format.
Exactly.
What do you do with that?
Well,
what do we even do with that if there's literally nothing on the internet that we can trust?
Well, I do think that that's the place we're at right now. And I think the point of that is for us to awaken to the fact that not everything is what it seems. I think, like, did you watch the new Black Mirror episode, season 5, episode 1, Jonah's Awful?
No, I did not. But
oh
do
my
I
God.
need to? Are you the one
Everybody
who's telling me I need? Because I saw it on Netflix, and whenever I saw it, I was like, I should probably watch this. But then I think it was late at night, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this off. I'm going to wait till somebody tells me about it.
Well, here it is. No, everybody has been messaging me like, please watch this episode and make a video on it. But yeah, it's pretty much like we live in a quantum computer and like there's different realities and different versions of us.
Wait, don't give away the story.
Oh my gosh. Well,
don't give away the story.
It's really good.
Don't spoil it.
It's really good.
Spoil it for me.
Watch it.
Come on.
Well, okay. It's exactly what's happening with us.
5 or 6?
Oh shit! Is it
season 6?
Season 6? Oh no! I just made a video about it. I need to make sure I fix that. Archangel? What?
Oh no, it's not Archangel. That's an old one. Season 6. I don't think it has a title. Archangel, I think, is a different episode.
No, it should be Joan is Awful. That's the title.
Joan is Awful?
Yeah.
Oh, damn it, Joan. Why'd you have to be so awful? Come on, Joni. I'll be able to find it.
I don't know what, I thought it was season 5.
It's reinventing itself. Black Mirror season 6 returns June 15th.
Season 6, episode 1, yeah.
And it will be the most unpredictable season yet. Well, you wait to see how wild and weird things get. Why not watch the trailer right now? Click this button. Give me your eyeballs. Give me your views. Yeah, it's season 6, but I'm not plugging it. I guess we are plugging it.
It was a pretty good episode for sure. I've only watched a few episodes of Black Mirror, but that was a really good one because I was like, that's what we're living in right now. That's our reality. I don't know why I started talking about that. What were we talking about before?
Check it out. I don't know, but I'm thinking about how I don't think you finished the story about how you got banned the last time. Was it just that it ended, or was there like a specific video?
Oh my God. Well, I had, like I said, a billion violations. Literally, I don't know how I survived as long as I did. No, I just kept getting violations. Like once I switched my content to more of conspiracy theories and like, going down that route, I started getting banned a lot because like TikTok was not okay with that stuff. Like a lot of like everybody just started getting banned. Everybody, like nobody even had anything wrong, and they would just get banned for nudity. They would get banned for like if you were just talking about the truth of our history. Like everybody was just getting banned left and right. All the what you would call the truth seekers or truth speakers or whatever, like back then, everybody was getting their shit banned. So everybody had account warnings. It was like insane on TikTok. And so I had an account warning and kept saying, like, you're gonna lose your account, you're gonna lose your account. And I was just like, I don't know like what is okay and what's not. Like to me, I'm like reporting on something that happened in China, like the heat wave in China that people are like dying from how hot it was, and they gave me a violation. I'm like, okay, I'm not allowed to talk about like anything. Like I couldn't talk about
You can't talk
anything.
bad about China, that's for sure.
Yeah,
You can't
well,
talk bad about China.
I was
China's
definitely
perfect.
I was
There's
not
nothing wrong with China.
I was talking about the
China's
how
amazing.
hot it was, and
Everybody loves China.
it was literally
Yeah, but nobody died.
there was literally
No,
like
it's a perfect temperature in
videos
China.
from
You're wrong.
the Chinese side of TikTok, which by the way, a lot of people like to talk shit on TikTok and say like, well, it's a Chinese app. What did you expect? And I'm like, okay, let me make something very clear. The American portion of TikTok was actually bought out by a company called ByteDance that is in Texas. And actually, we have American moderators watching our stuff. I actually have a friend that was a moderator, tells me all of the insides in and out of it. TikTok was also under fire because they were saving underage content that would get uploaded. Like these poor people, these moderators for TikTok, they had to go through and watch like the most horrible shit and know if it was okay or not. And like my shit's getting banned when I'm like exposing the truth, and they're seeing like minors. Yeah, it was some fuck. It was very psychologically
You know the
fucked up on
big
them.
you know the big yeah, you know the big thing that happened with TikTok was that bill that they passed to be able to ban TikTok. The whole purpose of that was so that the government now has the authority to be able to ban any app on the App Store that they desire or deem as a quote unquote endangerment to the population. It was a big
But
control grab.
I feel like they were already doing that. Like they controlled everything. I think that like we're so shocked, like, oh my God, I can't believe they did this. It's like they were gonna do it they were doing it anyways. They were just hiding it and not labeling it. They were doing it anyway. They were banning me, they were silencing me. We didn't have freedom of speech. I couldn't say the things I was saying. I have so many violations on Instagram as well, which is why I got demonetized. Like it doesn't you think like, okay, there's nothing wrong with this. This is actual proof. I have the proof. The lawsuit one, the one where I showed the lawsuit and I showed the documents, committing genocide against humanity with these bots. I got banned for that one. I mean, I was getting banned for anything that I was exposing. They were banning me. So finally, I had so many violations against me that they just took my page down completely. And I was like, oh my God, I had a feeling it was coming because hello, how could it not have had so many violations? Um, but it lasted really long, and so it got taken down on October, October. I got it back in December, so it was down for like 3 months, and I was just like, damn. All right, well, let's start again. And so I just had other ones, and then somehow, well, that's a whole other story, but I manifested it back, and now it's back, and I don't have any warnings. And now that I don't like, now that it's like the norm to talk about the stuff I talk about, I don't get any violations, thank God. But I'm also not like all crazy on there and being like, I was crazy with my shit. I was like, damn, no wonder people hated me. I really did say some crazy shit. But like, I believe it. But I was so sure of myself because I think everybody should just speak of like they are sure of themselves because that is your truth. If you're speaking your ultimate truth, you should be sure of it. And so I was sure of my truth. I'm like, this is the truth. This is my truth. And that's it. And then people were like, no, it's not. And I'm like, well, this is what I'm experiencing. So I'm going to talk about it. Like, make your own page and talk about your shit. Build
Well,
your
that's
audience.
powerful. I mean, it's powerful to lean into your truth, to lean into that confidence. And I think that leaning into that power can trigger a lot of people very easily.
Yeah. People don't like to see people who like
Mm.
don't care about their opinion. They get very you should care. And I'm
Well, I
like, but I
think
don't.
even the confidence, I think the way words are delivered can be very triggering to people.
Yeah.
Like a big example that I always think of is like Andrew Tate, for instance. I think a lot of his, I'm not going to get into the general content that he actually talks about because some of it's good, some of it's questionable. But I
Hmm.
think what really triggers a lot of people is like the confidence that he says everything with. I think that the way he delivers his message can be very triggering to people who haven't done well with authority in the past. Maybe they have a bad relationship with somebody who spoke confidently. And I think that that's where that can come from. At least that's my interpretation of it, is that once you're speaking from a place of pure confidence, a lot of people get triggered by that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of similar to what we were just saying about the comedy thing. It's like you don't know what's going to trigger people because you don't know their experience. So you kind of just you're
Yeah.
just living your experience and you're just talking, but then it's like triggering this other person. So you can't win. You can't please everybody. But I'm definitely getting better at how I deliver it. My dad used to always say this. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe some
Yep.
people just don't hear me when I say it nicely. Because it's true. Like if you are just nice, like people just they don't want to listen to you. And so you literally have to come and like be a fucking bitch. And especially because I'm a woman, I literally have a video where I was like, y'all need a man to say it. Y'all only listen when a man says it. So here you go. Let me show you all the clips of all these men who are highly regarded saying the same fucking shit that I'm saying, but because it's coming out of a man's mouth, now you're okay with it. Now there's proof. Oh, well, there's this person who had this article. Like when people are like, "Where's your what's your sources? Where's your?" I'm like, I can write a book right now and that will be my source. Like you guys are acting like it's so fucking difficult to write an article, to write a thesis. Like it's so hard to like get a book club. Anybody.
What the universe is telling Clayton is that after that happens 3 times in a row, that's our sign that it's our time to wrap up.
Time to wrap it up.
Yeah. So Alex, thank you so
Yes.
much for being here. This was amazing. Also, I got to give a shout out. I brought his name up. The guy who recommended you, because I don't think I saw any of your stuff before. George Do. I'm going to leave his last name out of it because it's just for privacy's sakes. I don't know if he wants the. We'll call him George Dooch. Dooch. I won't say Dooch. There's a couple more syllables there. George Dooch told me to reach out to
I
you.
don't
So
know.
thank you for being here. I had a pleasure. This was a great conversation.
Oh my gosh, thank you. It was fun. And you taught me a
Yeah.
little bit about this Riverside app. So now I can start getting into it a little more. And had a great conversation. It was fun. And we found out some new information about this whole like time thing. That's going to be so much fun to talk about.
Yeah. So guys, definitely go click my affiliate link for Riverside if you're down with that plug. No, but Alex, I always leave this time open for my guests, because if you have anything that you would like to plug, I know you sent me a bunch of your links, which will be down in the show notes below, whether it was like your I forget what they were, but it might have been like your TikTok and YouTube. But if you have any last words to the audience, this is your space to speak directly to them. Plug your stuff and plug any other messages that you have for them.
Okay. Well, guys, if you enjoyed anything of what I had to say, go check out my stuff. alexserves.com. I think it has all my links on there. It has my merch. And then Alex Serves on YouTube, on Instagram, and then TikTok is Alex Serves T or Alex Serves. There's so many different ones. Just look up Alex Serves and you'll find my stuff. But yeah, it was fun. And hopefully I helped you guys, I don't know, think. That's really all I don't have all the answers. I just have the questions and I just want to help more people have more questions. I think more people need to question more things. And I think we need to start using our brain more. We only access about 10% of our brain and we really need to unlock more. So I think just tapping into consciousness, and it all starts with questioning. Question everything and then start awakening to the endless possibilities and all of that's been hidden from us. And then remember who you are, and then you're a powerful being, and then you create your own reality, and it's so much fun after you get over the depression. Because
Got to
it
get
gets a
through the
little
dark night of the
depressing
soul
when
first.
you get a little depressed when you find out, like when your eyes are open, you're like, oh shit, like this is bad. And then you're like, okay, now let's move on.
Oh, true words have never been spoken. Alex, thank you so much for being on here.
Thank
Guys,
you.
if in the next 5 to 10 years the calendar shifts from the 1260 to 1320, you'll know that Alex had her hand in that.
Yes.
Uh,
I'm already
I'm ready
doing
for
it.
it. I'm already doing it.
Yeah.
Time is art. Time is art.
Yeah,
That actually
exactly.
might be my new saying.
That's
That might be my new
awesome.
saying, that time is art. I love
I
it.
love that.
I love it.
I'm
I
so happy
love
you
it,
found that.
guys.
Look at that, the universe bringing us new
I
downloads.
know. That's been something that's been right on me for a bit. I wanted to plug Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Way. You got to check that out. The Creative Way and The War of Art, those two books, they've been ripping me apart being a content creator. And just listen, honestly, I think that might be, I got to plug those two books one more time, because guys, if you're listening to this, we're literally shifting into the frequency where art is time. Art is going to be more valuable to not only you, but the general collective as a whole. So please, if you are a human being with ears and listening to this, get a copy of The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, and then also grab The Creative Way by Rick Rubin. Those I will, yes, I'm not going to overhype them, but yes, just everything, yes. So
Awesome.
one more time, Alex Serve, thank you so much for being here. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Guys, go check out all of her links below. If you don't, we will have a problem, and we will talk about that problem whenever we see each other in the sixth dimension.
Yeah, exactly.